Hello and welcome to sBlackAgent's The Hungry Dead on Roll For It. We've got plenty of awesome people today getting ready for the second episode of the show. And we'll soon let them get on with doing all the cool stuff. But I got to start with the boring stuff. We're going to go through the announcements, all that kind of thing, and get quickly into the show. So today's supporter is Legend Tier supporter Thunder Cabbage. Thank you very much for supporting today's episode. I appreciate the reactions to the name. I have no idea why they're called Thunder Cabbage, but I love it, and they should never change. There's also Patreon stuff happening. You can check out the GM notes for Mercurix and the Ghosts of Zepol from one of our recent Ascension episodes, Dungeons and Dragons. You can check that out and throw it at your own parties if you're feeling particularly cruel. Also, we are sponsored by Roll20. We use Roll20 for all of the shows that we do, and we always have done, because it's extremely convenient for doing tabletop RPGs online with friends. You can roll dice, and it actually rolls little dice on the screen, and that's cool. I mean, what more do you want, really? But also, it does have integration for like all kinds of character sheets and all sorts of cool character sheet functionality, so you can probably find a character sheet for the RPG you want to play, and if not, you can make one, or find a guy who knows how to make one. Generally, we sometimes have to call on people to be like, yo, we've made some weird and wacky homebrew, can you make a sheet for it? And usually they can. There's also giveaways you can check out. Thanks to this sponsorship, you should take a look at our pinned tweet, because that's usually got whatever latest giveaway shenanigans are going on, and that Maggie is running, so you can check that all out. Now, I mentioned earlier Patreon things. Well, sponsorships are cool and all. The only way that we're able to do all the cool stuff that we do, all of the many shows that we do with the many awesome people on them, and pay all those people as much as we can, is by Patreon. There's a whole bunch of different tiers there that you can grab, which give you a whole bunch of different rewards, including but not limited to MP3s of all our shows, after shows we record after every show. We talk about what happens in the show. Go off on tangents as well about random other things sometimes. Sometimes we talk about food a lot, and people get very annoyed at us for making them hungry. You can also get character sheets, both of players and of enemies, like the ones we're getting for Ascension this week. You can also get other GM secret things. Sometimes you get polls where you can influence how the GMs are sorting out things in the behind the scenes. You can steer things a little bit. You can also submit names for NPCs. You can watch the monthly recaps where the admins talk about the events of the month and how the shows are all going, and occasionally drop a couple hints on things that are coming up. And also, if you're crazy, you can support at Legend Tier, which lets you support an episode every month, and also take part in a once monthly game GM'd by a member of the Roll For It cast, where you can play some weird and wacky system GM'd by some awesome person. This month we have Little Red Dot running one, and we also have Grant running one once again. You can also, if you're really, really crazy, I only mention this every now and then because it feels weird, honestly, but you can support at Deity Tier. We made it because people seem to be down with it, and so if you're really crazy, you can do that too. We record a personal thank you video for you being so awesome, and then like check if you're okay, tell you to stop. Usually, at that point, we're like, it's okay, you can stop now. You've supported us. You did a good. You can also do other things as well, of course. As well as Patreon, we also have Twitch and YouTube thingies you can do. You can, of course, drop us bits on Twitch. They will drop into the maw of the vampire in the corner there, the dice box. You can also give us tips, and they appear on the screen. Read them out to the end of the show to thank you for being awesome and supporting the episode. And you can also subscribe on Twitch, which gives you emotes and badges, and also immediate access to the VODs. No, we'll have to wait 24 hours for us to put them up over on YouTube. Speaking of YouTube, you can become a YouTube member over there. That gives you emotes and badges over there as well. Being a YouTube member, Twitch subscriber, or Patreon supporter, let you join our Discord and hang out with us, other fans of the show, and talk about all things Roll For It and some things not Roll For It if you feel like it. We got a role play room in there. We got gaming rooms and all that kind of thing. Just check it out and have fun. You can also contribute to the wiki in there. There's a wiki room for people coordinating working on that. There's always more work to be done on the wiki because we're constantly making new shows with new things that can be added. So we always appreciate people getting in there and helping with the wiki efforts. That's one of the ways that you can just support us, just in a non-monetary fashion if you can't do that, which is totally okay. Never support people beyond your means. But there's other ways you can support too by like pressing all the buttons. Just showing up and watching already is super helpful. You can like tweet at us and Facebook at us. I don't know how that works. I guess post whatever. Or you can leave us Facebook reviews as well if you feel like it. We appreciate those as well. Every little thing helps. It's always super awesome. Tell your friends, bring them along, and maybe they'll be super into this stuff too. And that's around about it. So speaking of this stuff, let's get to it. Let's get into the show, and I will disappear into the ether so that the cool people can do cool things.
There are no cool people here. What?
We're all nerds.
I'm not cool, but I am hot. Sorry.
Thanks.
How'd it go? I'm sorry, everybody. So, welcome back to the Hungry Dead. This is, and I know it's not a contest, we're a pretty good-looking group of folks here. I mean, we are. We're pretty styling, profiling, all that jazz. I'm just a flatterer.
I only meant cool in the metaphorical sense. Of course, we're all cool. I mean,
yeah.
I'm in an AC room.
Yes, I am as well. In it's almost a little too cold because I'm wearing board shorts. Yeah, it's a look. Welcome to the Hungry Dead. And this is a sBlackAgent mini-series here on Saturdays, here on Roll For It. When last we left our intrepid investigative agents who are looking into the Shadow War and vast global vampire conspiracy, one member had been framed. A group of vampire conspirators were attempting to frame one Jess Whitner as a arsonist and terrorist. We should introduce ourselves and go around and who we're playing. We'll do that after the recap. And there was also a assassination attempt on a genetics researcher who was looking into vaccines. It appears that the vampires were attempting to get a hold of some very dangerous and nasty bioterror weapons. Turns out, though, in a surprise twist, a rival group, a rival faction, actually destroyed the virus. However, the heat has been pinned on the player characters. They are currently delving deeper and deeper and investigating an Orphic cult that is performing sacrificial rituals. And for their contact, one Morgane Lecoeur, who is the prize-winning famous geneticist, has fled after her assassination attempt. What we'll do, though, is we'll go around and everyone will introduce who they are and who they're playing for today's session, and then we will we'll pick up and set the scene where an extraction team, a kill team, is coming in to extract Morgane from the situation. However, our players are crafty and clever, and we'll see how it goes. So let's go around, and we'll go Elf, Norden Ali, KP, then Blythe.
okay, I'll go first. Hi, I'm Distracted Elf. I'm gonna be playing Jess Whitner this particular session, and the sessions before and after it. She's a volatile explosives expert, I think is the best way to describe her. If there's a problem that you can blow up, she wants to blow it up. And sometimes even the problems you shouldn't blow up, she also wants to blow those up too. So that's Jess.
I really liked the standoff between Jess and the trucker last week. It was a highlight.
Just killed it. Hey, my name is Norden Lee, but you can call me Werewolf. My pronouns are he, him. You're probably wondering why I look like I have a poncho on my head. That's because I have a poncho on my head. I committed to a character choice, and I guess I'm sticking with it until such time I can take the poncho off.
It's a good look, you know?
I know, but then again, I can rock anything, so. I play Feroz Manzakaria. We don't know much about him yet. but we do know that he's a vaguely nondescript individual who can change accents at the whim of the hat, which is another character choice I'm going to have to commit to, so let's see how long I can stick with it.
The entire show.
Oh, hell.
You have put that out on the internet.
It's
It's
true.
only, it's only another 12 hours. You can totally do it.
KP, I think it's your turn.
I apologize. I didn't know it was... Hello, I'm KP, also known as KP11 Studios, and today I will be playing Agent Sai Srinivas Atreya, who is a private eye, as well as sometimes moonlighting as either a pizza delivery person or as a member of the custodian. So, if you need some pizza delivered or a room cleaned, I got you. He's got you. Outside of that, he is a part of this wonderful crew. A little in over his head, slightly. But you can find him, at least hopefully, gaining some level of confidence, lounging around with his cup of Starbucks coffee in hand, ready to go. So we'll see how this rolls.
Hello, I am Blythe, and I'm laughing at all these character choices because I'm still laughing at how do you say pizza in French?
Yes.
It's an Italian word, okay?
Pizza. It's the
Not pizza.
Oh, yes, I am Blythe. I am playing Ashley Williams, a woman with a podcast who solves murder mysteries and crimes. And somehow she's become very effective as an agent against the undead.
I think Ashley's actually the MVP, like, of last session at least. Like, the amount of stuff that Ashley did was just, like, mind-blowing, to be honest.
Let's be honest, Ashley's the best agent against the undead.
The podcaster was the best.
Well, they're all scared of the YouTube uploads from Ashley because if they get caught on camera, you won't see them, So it's
I'm gonna do a sick takedown video of vampires.
Yes.
a sick takedown. Spill the tea on the Greek vampires. Tell everybody their secrets that they DM'd you.
Hey, I don't want to say this on May, but
Guys, I have been deep into the vampire conspiracy for months, and let me tell you, it is worse than you thought it is. Today, on Ashley Williams.
in ways that the vampire conspiracy is god-awful. Number 7 will shock you.
Top 10 reasons that Greek vampires are worse than all other kinds of vampires.
Oh no!
Oh my
When did Ashley become a BuzzFeed writer?
Career change.
Pay them bills. All right.
I'm sure she's done BuzzFeed listicles at some point as a podcaster. Like,
Oh, yeah.
gotta do something.
No,
So-
what you do is you just read them out loud, and that's your content. You know what I mean? It's good
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly. Every video is just like, here's a list.
So, we're going to pick up in the middle of things in media res. The player characters, the investigators, the agents, are currently... they have just finished a fight with an Orphic vampire, a vampire that can become one with shadows, take a spectral form, and also become full corporeal. It feeds off of blood and pain and fear. We've noticed and learned that they tend to stick to the shadows and just nibble a little here and there, as Faro's experienced last session. The vampire was defeated. The party literally beat the bejesus out of it, if I do say so myself. It's a colloquial phrase. Thank you, Raiders, for the raid. It's actually the Outlaws Network. However, there's this TSOE cult, which is a Hellenistic cult that they were cutting open their palms. They were pouring milk into a vat and mixing the blood with it, which caused the vampire to manifest. But at this point, a group of about 10 individuals that are armed to the teeth, guns drawn, semi-automatic and automatic weaponry, are targeting the party, and they've come to extract Morgaine. Now, we're not in a fight yet. They're trying to discern the situation, but they see that Morgaine is essentially on the floor. She's hurt. She's wounded. She was shot earlier today.
I did think I spent some medic points to help stabilize her.
You did stabilize her. She's not going to die. And actually, she trusts you now and is at least willing to divulge information. So she'll probably tell the killers, shoot him last. No, she would spare you. So that's where we're at, where the extraction team has come in, and they look very out of place. They're wearing, say cargo shorts and like Under Armour rash guards. Like, yeah.
That's a look.
And Vans sneakers. No, they're wearing their combat boots. And they have some of them have night vision goggles on. Others they have head-mounted flashlights, and they're just they seem very confused. How do you want to handle the situation first?
So,
you have the first move before they bark up.
Remind me, Grant. Is this extraction team something we want to allow to happen or not allow to happen?
That's up to you.
I cannot remember. Well, but like what is their alignment in regards to this?
Okay. So here's what you know, and here's what the clues revealed. She called for help. They responded and said they were coming. And the conversations were held in Spanish, and the area codes for them were from Barcelona. And so they're most likely coming to take her to Spain. You might be able to buy some time, so it's something she called for.
Spanish, right. That language that I could speak this entire time.
Yeah.
Buenos dias.
I raise my hands, but I don't direct my words to them. I turn to Morgaine and speak in French, not Spanish. Do you trust these people? Are they here for you?
She says, yes, they're going to come. They're going to take me out. I don't know if there are others on the way. When she says that, the others she's referring to is a kill team, not the extraction team, more assassins that are trying to hunt her down. So she doesn't know how much longer they have.
Then let's get you out of here. And I reach down to pick her up.
She allows you to do that.
I feel like Jess watching this situation, there's a moment of like disappointment when she like puts a stick of dynamite back away, like she's getting ready to just like blow their way out of here.
By the way, does anyone else speak French in this group?
I imagine Jess does. Yeah.
I can certainly pretend to.
Oh, great.
And she has a French alias, so I assume she can speak French.
I don't have it listed, so I imagine it's the basic, like, do you speak English enough to get by, but not actually speaking?
You can say I don't speak French, sorry, in French.
Also,
and then also say, this is all I know how to speak in French,
Also, where is the bathroom? Where's the library? And can you take me to the library's bathroom?
KP, that was my exact situation when I lived in China. I could say in Mandarin that I couldn't speak Mandarin, and that was the only thing I could say in Mandarin.
Oh no!
You
literally had the Family Guy bit.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Oh.
I look.
My life is like someone who's like a Latina trying to speak Spanish to anyone. I'm like, no, and they're all like, no, and they're all like, yeah, you do. Clearly, you look like you do. And I'm like, I don't.
No habla español.
It's literally just me doing that, like, no habla español, and they're like, but you just did.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I'll teach everyone Portuguese tongue twisters sometimes, like No, I'm fluent in Portuguese. I lived in Brazil for many years, but
God help.
that's a whole other story. Yeah, another one of those Grand Ellis tales.
Sorry,
but,
I took us.
I was going to do
a wild
something
tangent.
mechanics-wise.
No, it's good. Okay.
I was going to do something mechanics-wise. I want to spend a point of reinsurance on the team, on the extraction team, to convince them that we're clearly on the same side if we're all supporting Morgaine. Would that be possible?
They 100%. They say, okay, they say we're going to have to move quickly though, and they take positions. They also, it looks like one of the cultists is kind of doesn't want these individuals with drawn weapons to be down here, and it looks like there is some friction between the cult and the extraction team, but it hasn't escalated yet.
Right. We're going. I turn to my group. We're going. Come on.
Yeah, sure. Let's go then.
It should be noted
Is your
that
dynamite? Oh, sorry. go ahead.
Feroz does not look. Half my health is gone. Feroz does not look good.
Oh no. I have. Let me see if I have any.
They members of their team come over since you tended to her. They ask if can they help you out.
Oh, see, but I don't trust them. So I say, oh, no. Fine. Health condition.
They one looks at you and speaks a code that only you would know. SIS. It's a deep cover. Double agent.
I nod to them. Honestly, yeah, I don't know why I lied. I could use some help.
Yeah. As she's tending to you, she's applying a salve. She explains there is going to be an injection. Don't worry, it's fine, and it'll restore your health back to full. And she explains to you how she goes. All of your pictures are on the TV now. Like, they're it's not safe. I don't know how they got them, but
I simply say it might have been a bit purposeful. It's all right. We'll be fine. What are these? Are they going to kill her?
No, they're going to take her to Barcelona. That's where they're headquartered. However, I was doing some digging. One of the killings that was pinned on you, this Mikalakos, did you figure out where he came from?
Yeah, Greece. He was a monk. Hold up. I pull out his cell phone. Should be able to track his whereabouts from the GPS on this thing.
You know that he was Greek and that he had been staying and living in Istanbul.
But he'd been living in Istanbul.
She thinks about it. She says, there's some strange happenings going on there as well. And does anyone here have, this will be the time I do this, we might be able to actually pull up some, so this would be, in the moment, this would need to be occult studies.
I have it, but I have no more points in it.
You can still use an investigative ability with no points, you just can't get any of the Sherlock Holmes stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Quick question. I thought, did we not reset the points from last session? Or is
You'll get it after this scene. They'll all reset. And if you reset, it's okay.
I don't think I've used much of my occult studies, so I think I could do that here.
Even if you use all of them, as long as you have the skill, you can at least get the surface level clue. Sometimes there's more information. So, she's done some digging, and she shows the monastery. And what you would pick up, Ashley, is that the markings and the artwork and the symbology of his monastery in Istanbul matches the place you're in now, Elysium, the land of the dead. So there may be a tie between what's happening here as well as that monastery in Istanbul. And so you pick up on that. They say there's been strange happenings though. There's been what's best described as kidnappings. Also, shout out to my Brazilians in the chat. Yay, gente. Sorry.
Okay. Is there an airfield nearby? I can, as long as we have an aircraft, I can take him.
Our team can see that you're taken there, but I recommend being very quiet with this group. They are deep in with the conspiracy, and did you finish off what was with her, or is it still around? She's referring to the vampire.
It's linked into the wall. It desolidified. Tried to escape the living stake. They have no idea what any of those words mean.
It went poof.
Yeah, they're like, okay.
It
On your
isn't
guard.
dead.
It might still be around.
It's an Orpheus.
So,
And
everyone on this
it
team-
doesn't want us, it wants her.
I actually recommend, she says, she's marking down directions. She says, I'm calling you a cab. Don't go with us. You need to get to that airfield separately. If that vampire has seen you talk with her and you've combated it, it will out you to them. And she points to the guys with the big, heavy weapons. And the outcome of that is something I don't want to imagine, my friend.
Yeah.
Could we have perhaps one of those weapons? Did you happen to have any of those just on hand for us? I feel like we could, potentially use some of them.
Make a preparedness check. This will be a difficulty 3.
Also, I'll remind you that you have an exact copy of your pistol inside one of our bags, and we have 3 other pistols too.
Preparedness. I have 3 in it.
Assassination weapons.
Do I want to use all 3 of my preparedness?
I don't think it's worth it. Just roll one.
I'll do.
Each
I'll
Dumble's
just
gonna
do
have
one.
ones.
Yeah, but they said big weapons, so that sounds like ooh, big weapons. You mean? Okay, let me go back to roll 20. Where's my roll 20? Okay, I'll just do. Come on. Well, so it's 1. How was it again? Roll roll.
Actually,
6.
1d6.
Yes.
Call the roll after you do it.
That's a 6.
Woo!
Yeah.
All right.
Give me the big guns.
So they do have big guns. They're like, no, be careful with this. You are traveling through Paris, France. It's evening time, but we'll give you the weapons. So they have, they're not as big, but these are stronger weapons. In fact, if something like this was used on one of those Orphic vampires and it was in physical form, you'd probably be able to at least shoot it down. It would possibly even kill. The weapons are powerful enough, but you'd have to be. It would come down to being able to land attacks on it. Pisatheros, the vampire you encountered, is weaker. Baby vampire. There are more powerful than he.
Can we ask your contact possibly what this monk wanted with Morgaine, or if anyone here actually, or if Morgaine knows, because it seems like the monk is connected to the cult she's a part of, but was coming after her. Why?
I turn to my contact and relate in Spanish this time, because I might as well just give up with the facade. If they know any connection between the monks and Morgaine?
Not her specifically, but
Yeah, I didn't think so.
The conspiracy, though, the vampires and the extraction team's starting to get a little suspicious that she's talking to you so much, but she kind of waves them down. She actually catches Ashley for a second, and she's like, "I know her. Wasn't she social?"
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. She says, "The connection is less the cults and more who established them long ago. There is a schism, and there are disagreements. It's a lot of it's kept from me. My job is to find high-profile individuals and get them out of trouble when they get into it. The true connection is the vampires, but I recommend looking into the monastery in Istanbul.
Yeah.
There's other contacts there too. You might be able to find Daria. The name Daria would ring a bell to Ashley. She's been on your podcast as a guest. She's been
Oh.
investigating as well. She's an
Okay.
ancient site researcher and a occult expert.
So we're like BFFs, clearly.
Obviously.
There's one more thing. Tell our friends that the Russians might know something. They were weaponizing of... Well, Morgane's Russian, but... They had people here, Russians, weaponizing of Russian virus from the Cold War. If you can narrow down where that lab was in that bloody huge continent, we could probably chase it up after Istanbul if we live.
She says she'll have...
If we live, come on. What are we...
No, in Spanish. You did not understand
okay, I
that.
didn't hear it then.
It'd be great if just speak Spanish too. It's like, oh yeah, put on the character sheet.
I don't
That's
have
what it
enough.
is.
I don't have enough language points.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So she says her people will look into it and report back as soon as they find. They're going to follow the lead, and then they'll turn over essentially a dossier on everything they find.
Right. Thank you.
And I just say this entire time, like, you just see Sai in the side just like nodding as if though he doesn't understand a lick of it, but he's just like, yes, yes, yes.
All right. So with that, the extraction team is going to take Morgane out of there. Is there anything else you would like to ask her before she goes?
Not that I can think of.
I mean, why someone would want to kill her? Like, what a motive would be for that? Might be like, 'cause, yeah, we have your contact, but it might not be bad to ask her directly, like, why this would have happened, and maybe.
Okay. She leans in close and she whispers to Ashley because she doesn't know who all's listening or if everyone here is on the up and up. She explains that there is dissension in the conspiracy. She's going back to Barcelona. She's going to headquarters where she will be debriefed and hopefully they allow her to live. As she says that, she looks like she winces a little. And then she explains, she says, one of the factions, the dissidents, they want to stop the plans from coming out. They feel that we loyalists have gone too far in our schemes and ideas.
Let me just check you over before I go. Can I roll a preparedness check to see if I brought a burner phone with me?
Yes, it'll be a preparedness 3.
I'll spend 1 point. Why not? I didn't need to, but I
You're good.
and as I'm gonna slip the burner phone into her inside breast pocket. Should any trouble arise, just call us.
She nods. And with that, she's escorted away with the kill team. However, you would notice, anyone got a vampirology?
Yeah, I might.
No point needs to be spent. You notice her shadow is not her own, and the vampire has reattached itself to her
Boy.
as they leave. That's why she winced during the conversation. So,
Damn it.
we'll fade to black on the scene. Everyone refresh all of your pools.
Yay.
While you're refreshing pools, do you have any investigative abilities that you might consider using to look into Istanbul, because that will be the next leg before you head to either Barcelona or Russia, depending on what information you're given. Your contacts are going to give you information about both at the end of the session, assuming you survive.
Before we do, when we refresh our pools, that includes that includes investigative abilities?
Investigative as well.
Excellent.
New scenario.
Nice.
Brilliant.
I think one of the things that Sai would like to do is just have an understanding of the city, like the physical understanding of the city. So using my ability as for traffic analysis, would that work out in any way? Just to understand the traffic patterns, understand best routes to get around things.
Here, you're going to get some more information outside of that as well. You do find the best routes, and you also find, and you know that the monastery is currently undergoing a historic reconstruction project, and there's a group of monks that take care of the monastery, but it's a closed-off area. It's interesting, the location of the monastery, because it's located on what we might refer to as an Avernus, like a grotto, an opening in the earth. And when you look at photos of it, it almost looks like an M.C. Escher painting. Like, there's no way monks could even really travel through this monastery that safely and get in and out, but they do. You also pick up on
supernatural monks. Got it.
There are members of the church, and this is one of the only standing Christian buildings that was not converted into a mosque, but there's a word for it. If someone would like to indulge in history, we can tell you what it's called by the locals.
Spend a point, you mean, or just have it?
No spend, just have.
I'll be happy to help.
So you know that this church is known as the Blood Church. That's just what all the locals refer to it as. It's been allowed to stand, and it's been there for hundreds of years. That is the same church that is tied to Mykolakos. Any other abilities that you'd want to spend? Because there's a lot of information you can get to help prep you before you go.
I would like to do some research or occult studies, possibly. Also, does our MOS skill refresh as well? Yeah,
everyone gets their MOS back.
Okay. Just want to make sure. So yeah, Ashley's gonna do her her best that she does, and do some research on as much as she can on this church and how it fits with this cult.
By the way, one thing I wanted to mention is as part of that, the traffic analysis, or would this be more of the urban survival? Just kind of working with the team to map out safe spots, if we were to suddenly have to split up for various reasons, locating spots where hey, at this time we will all meet up here if this scenario were to happen, and this would be a safe spot for us. And these are some of the. Yeah. Okay. Cool. I didn't know if that, because I don't have any urban survival, but I do have traffic analysis.
I do. I will throw my urban survival towards.
There it is.
Yeah.
This is what it gets you. Your urban survival gets you a haven. The haven is known as Yusuf's. Yusuf's is kind of like Rick's in Casablanca, the movie. Everyone from all over the world can end up there. Has a very nice bar. Has a nice inn that people can stay at. Kind of like a side hotel. And the point in urban survival, Jess would totally have access there, and possibly even one of you might even have a cover where there's a long-standing rented room under a false identity. If someone wants to spend a cover, it would just be 2 points. I'll give that to you. And if you want to spend a network, Bada, who is the woman who runs it, will also be a friend.
Sorry, what would we spend for cover again? I somehow zoned out.
So, depending on how elaborate you want, a cover difficulty of 4 will mean you have a persona that essentially has a rented room and an identity in Istanbul at this place known as Yusuf's, which is hotel, restaurant, bar. It is the best safe haven for traveling agents.
I will absolutely spend 4 points in cover. I've connected cover, which means that in addition to potential generic assets, credentials, etc., I'm personally known to one NPC. Which means I don't think I need to spend that point in contacts. I think I know her. I think I've stayed there before, actually.
You've stayed there before. You know her and her partner, whose name is... I've got it in my note. Oh, her partner is Yusuf.
And her name again?
Bada. Bada runs the place. Thought it was cute to name it after her partner.
That's adorable. I'll also spend 2 points in contacts to create an SIS contact. I think she's just an informant. Layla Nazim, she works for... Let's say she's a local government official.
Okay.
And she's in contact with the SIS, so I have a way to get through them if I need to.
She's in charge of permits, too. So she is... yeah, she's in charge of permits. Always good to have... If you could write her name in the chat, Zoom chat.
Yes, I will. Now, is there anything else interesting we could spend for? Because I'm thinking... Actually, I'd like to spend my point in forgery. Because I have a cover that's honestly rather rock solid, but I don't think these folks do. And I'd like to help them with that.
I mean, my cover's already blown, so.
Travel document.
Ah, puns. Sorry.
All right,
Yeah.
So
I like that you, that you made a pun out of a thing I didn't mean to pun.
Yay.
Any other investigative spins that you would like to do before you head there?
I would like to do research. I have not.
Aha! Ashley, you labor tirelessly all night in between editing podcasts and recording. Oh gosh, what are they called? Like the travel snippets? Remotes. You're doing remotes. You're doing remotes with your little selfie stick. So this is my remote. This is Ashley's angle. And today we're going to talk about baguettes here on Baguette Street. So, sorry.
French.
In between doing your content creation, your monetized content creation, you learn that this particular monk of the Church of St. Mary's, that's what it's called, also the Blood Church, as it's referred to locally, were in the news recently. Essentially, an enormous protest was held in front of the church and the monastery in regards to the renovation of the building. And Daria, who was your friend, who was on your podcast, was the face of the resistance and the protests. Daria claims that the Turkish government is covering up something else that's going on with the monastery, and but the monks are like, this is but a humble place of religious practice. There surely is no wrongdoing.
Surely.
Surely.
We're just monks.
What they all say.
That's what all the monks say.
Lies, I
those-
say. Lies.
So that's essentially what you've uncovered. So the monks were in the news. Your bestie Daria led a big protest, and she claims that the government is covering up something. You have a choice when you go to Istanbul. You can either start at Yusuf's, or you can go right to the church. Or you can try to get connected with Daria. Which would you like to do?
I mean, I think on my end, I think we should start at Yusuf's. Ashley gets in touch with Daria while we're there. Feroz gets in touch with some of his contacts.
I am for that plan. I think the more prepared we are, the better, to be honest.
All right. So You're at Yusef's. Bada seems forlorn. She is very depressed. She's happy to see. What name do you go by here, Feroz?
Ahmed Fari. I'll put that in the chat too.
Yeah,
He is a he's an on-site reporter, so he has long stretches abroad, usually to various places like Iraq, Iran, Afghanistan, where he reports on various war efforts. But he's a local Turkishman, as it happens to be.
Very nice.
Mm-hmm.
And Bada, you notice she's pouring herself a lot of drinks. Normally, she would never drink on the job. She
Is
just
something
doesn't.
wrong? You look a bit off.
My Yusef, he misses. He's gone. 3 days.
Ya Allah, I'm so sorry. Here, come here. Come here.
She
I,
comes.
Yeah, I offer her a gigantic hug.
Oh, she needs it.
Yeah, I let her cry on my shoulder as long as it takes. She's always been good. She has no idea who I really am, but she's always been good to me, and that's something I do appreciate.
Sweet, you know? It's
Mhm.
nice.
How did that happen?
The churchmen come down and they'd give him a talk, and they talk, and then they go to get some coffee. I asked if they wanted coffee here, but instead they left, and Yusef no return. The man from the church, that Kozret is his name. Kozret.
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 How does he look? Anything notable about him?
Poor face. Dad bod.
Sad bod. You've been
legs.
been watching the American series.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, she's just like dad bod, poor face. She says he has a haunted look about him, as if he has always seen a specter.
Maybe he's a PTSD, war guy, soldier.
No, he is newspaper man.
Newspaper man.
Runs a stand.
I see.
Here in the she goes, lots of people have been going missing, my friend.
Lots of people. Anyone we know?
Dozens. She names off like 7 or 8 names just off the top of her head. She goes, and those are the ones I know. Those are my friends, but there are also others.
Well, if you'd like, I can look into it while I'm here. I'm only here for a couple days, maybe.
Okay. Yeah, she gives you a hug again, and she says she appreciates it, and anything you can do to help. She does give you a map to Kozret's newspaper stand. Is there anything else anyone wants to do, either in the local area or in the local vicinity, or here at USES? Because it's full of people. There's lots of going on. You can suggest investigative abilities, or you can RP with each other, or any of the patrons of USES.
Ashley's going to be putting out to get in touch with Daria, because she's like,
Okay, you're doing that.
yeah.
And you do get a response, and it's from another woman you know. She's in her mid-40s. She is actually at Daria's, and she says Daria has not been seen for 4 or 5 days, unable to contact her. And if you want to come to her apartment, she would definitely be willing to take you in, because if you're a friend of Daria, it means you are probably a highly capable person. She knows you from your podcast.
Ashley kind of turns to everybody though and is like, so bad news, my contact in town has been missing for 4 to 5 days. I can get access to her apartment and we can go investigate it, but
No, I can totally help you out with that. Yeah.
I may have a lead on that. Man named Quosret. He talked to Yusuf shortly before he didn't come back either, and he's a newspaper man. Apparently, there's been a lot of people that's been going missing. It's not just one or two. I have a local friend at the permits office I could probably talk to.
Is Cosret related to the Blood Church or the Church of St. Mary's?
I have
Absolutely. Sorry.
yeah, I think so.
I just spit it out.
It seems like it, yeah. Blood was a bit forlorn. It was tough to get much information out of her, except for tears.
If you have any leads, I can perhaps go and investigate further, like perhaps
Well,
different locations.
Daria was in the news recently being pretty anti the church. She was like saying stuff about how she thinks there's like a Turkish government thing going on there, which we know it's vampires, but she was going for something else. But she was very outspoken, so that may have put her in the line, the risk.
I mean, if it's... I mean, it
Sounds
depends,
reasonable.
right? Yeah, it does sound reasonable, but it could be a government thing. It could be a government thing. I think what we need to do is we need to probably find out more about this church before we ever even enter it. Just in case.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to go. We should definitely start casing the church first. I do want to go to Daria's apartment and see if there's any signs of what happened to her, possibly. And then maybe we can also find Yusuf that way, because it sounds like they came into contact with the same people and are missing now.
Okay, so maybe you and Sai go check out Daria. If you find Cosred on the way, hold on, I know where his newspaper stand is. Here. I pointed out on a map. Go check out him too. Otherwise, Jess and I will go to see my contact and see what we can find from that.
Sure, yeah.
That sounds good to me.
Wait, just be careful. We'll meet up here at if someone's missing by midnight and they're not here, yeah, we scour the earth. So be here by then.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
So let's break down the plan of actions, who's going where, and what your intentions are, what you'd like to find out, because that'll help steer the next scenes. So lay it on me, folks. What is Jess most interested in? Which lead is Jess most interested in following?
I mean, Jess is kind of going along with Feroz, if only because like her investigative abilities are not what she's good at. You know what I mean? Like generally, like she doesn't have a whole lot of points in anything that I can like look for more information with, unless art history is of use.
It is at the church. Sorry, spoilers.
or military science, I guess. But she's kind of like mostly. I think her vibe is mostly that she wants to make sure that Feroz doesn't get like hurt digging into stuff. So she's kind of like bodyguarding a little bit, you know what I mean? Like she just making sure that nothing goes wrong, and if it does, that she has the high explosives to deal with it. That's the plan.
And how about Sai?
Oh, Sai actually, I mean, considering that his profession as a private eye, he's just willing to but he knows that as at the international level, Feroz has much more of a jurisdiction. So he's kind of just, wanting to be the second or like a right-hand man for him. So like wherever Feroz says is best for him to go and investigate, to assist.
I like how he doesn't even likely know that Feroz is SIS. Just think, well, the man walked into a laboratory one day, and he seemed to get in fine, so that clearly he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, it's all
I mean,
good.
seriously, he's got the eye for it, and definitely Sai's impressed. So, like especially the fact that he knows people even in this bar, like he was able to talk to them very convincingly and brought all this new information. So,
if you've ever seen the film City of God, Feroz is the knockout Ned of the group, where it's just like, oh, he's so cool, knockout Ned, so great. Yeah, it's just like so. Yeah, so. And then Feroz, which lead did you want to follow? It sounds like Jess and Sai are going to follow. And it's also, remember, it's okay to split the party.
Yeah, I was hoping to
attached.
get more information on what the government might know. and see what the local SIS might know. But also, I wanted to be the one. I think Jess and I are going to check out Cosworth on the way.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and then Ashley, did you want to go straight to Daria's? Dr. Hana Tikan is there, ready to receive you if you'd like to go there.
Yeah, that's where Ashley's gonna go to Daria's apartment. I wasn't sure if she was gonna check out Cosret or if Feroz was, but yeah, she'll go straight
You
to
can all,
Daria.
yeah.
We can all check out Cosworth first, then split
Mhm.
off.
Yeah. So maybe we should do that because he's
Yeah.
making people disappear
Mhm.
possibly.
Okay.
Yeah, especially since we have a home base we can all return to.
All right. So, the gang heads to Cosret's newspaper stand. There is an overhang, like an awning over him. He's sort of sitting in the shadows. In fact, there's like a port. It's just really literally a hole in the wall where a door used to be. And he's sitting on a chair inside the overhang. His newspapers are out. Every now and then someone comes up, and he seems to not be minding if someone just takes a paper. You can tell that, he's feeling like maybe he should stop them, but he doesn't. He is just content to watch what you do. His eyes are deeply sunken. You can see them in the shadows. They have a glint of light in them. And he's sitting within the shade of his establishment.
I could just like shake him up, like looking to everybody else. Like if he knows something, it wouldn't take me that long.
Go for it if you'd like. Yeah, it's Jess's style.
I'm just talking to the. I'm like,
Sorry.
I'm not actually gonna do it. I'm just,
Okay.
I'm just like asking the others if that's the approach that they would want me to take.
Seemed to have worked out the last time.
Do you want me to distract him for a little bit?
Yeah, I don't know. Get them talking about something else, and then I'll come in and shake them up a bit. I think that's the way to go.
Okay. He reaches into the glove compartment of the car they're in, because naturally he has a car here, and pulls out a small flask and like just dabs it underneath the collarbones. And like the moment he walks out, he's clearly the drunkest person alive right now.
I love it.
And I walk straight into the newspaper stand, not to, into.
Whoa. He slowly rises and goes, "Stop, don't, my papers."
I've been thirsting this. I'm sorry. I just here to let me help you. And I make things worse as much as I can by like knocking
Ruining
down
my papers, my
things by-
periodicals.
I'm so sorry. It's
My
been a
comic
very
books.
Like seeing the way that he's replaying, like the very like lethargic manner by which he's replaying, just kind of abandons the plan and just goes for it. It just goes for it immediately. Just like walks up and like while he's like leaning over to try and deal with Feroz or whatever, just tries to grab him by the like collar or something, and give him the old like, listen, man, we know what's going on. Don't try and fuck with us. Like, tell us everything you know about any of these
Do you have intimidation?
disappearances. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I have 2 points.
And you kind of got him by the collar.
Yeah, just like a fistful of shirt.
You've got him in as you kind of turn him by the collar. As his body almost comes out from under the awning. At this point, Ashley notices his shadow is moving independently of him and looks terrified that he's almost being pulled into sunlight.
Ashley is going to come up to Jess and Feroz and kind of, she's playing the like, sorry about my friend. I just a little bit too much. We just went to use this, a little too much to drink, and like grabbing Feroz to pull him aside so she can be like, man has a vampire attached to him.
Let me ask you something, director. if I may. The living stake, did we bring it with us?
Of course.
That is up to you if you brought it or not.
I will spend preparedness points to
To have it, yeah.
to
Quick
have
question:
that.
how big the guns that Sai acquired from that tactical team? How big is that gun? Is that something that could be like hidden or like at least put underneath his trench coat that he's wearing in such a way, kind of like a sawed-off shotgun?
I like the idea of this cinematically because that's where my head's at. If you need to produce the weapon, I'm going to assume that you have some Arnold Schwarzenegger Terminator 2 shotgun, massive, just as roses fall and it's over cranked slow motion. And you're going to have your kill stick when the time is right. Just because Sai needs that moment.
You just see Sai like slowly, like, because he notices that he slowly just reaches. He doesn't do anything, but you see his hand reach into the trench coat that he's wearing, and just kind of just stare at him, kind of just prepared, just ready for whatever.
So
have-
I think Jess is still oblivious to the fact there's a vampire involved, and she's just shaking this guy by the collar.
You see her Sai just go, yes.
You can tell the vampire is getting agitated that its host is being shaken, and if Khosret is shaken too much or pulled into the sunlight, it will attack.
Ashley, you said you were going to do something.
Oh, Ashley's gonna say is gonna produce the living steak and give it to Feroz because she's not a fighter.
No, I'm okay. And I take the stake, hold it close to my chest, back up, and stab the shadow.
Okay, now we're going to move into initiative. So I believe that is a weapons check.
Yes, it is.
And this is going to be fun.
I only got 2 points to spend on weapons, y'all.
I have one. I had put some for like hand-to-hand combat because it's believable that Ashley has taken self-defense classes, but she's not like a weapons person.
I have 8 in weapons.
Well, go for it. Go for it for Rose, and I'll let you know what happens.
Okay.
I don't know the target number yet.
I think I'll spend both my points then.
Good to do.
4 total.
You lunge. The shadow easily evades you, is behind you now, and it unleashes an attack on you. If you do a hand-to-hand, you can dodge it. The target number is 8.
8.
Damn.
8.
This isn't a baby vampire.
This is a bad idea, but I'm going to spend all my 5 points because I don't want to be taken out this early. You know what I mean?
Oh,
10.
yeah.
Yes.
You managed to dodge too. The vampire is luring Khosret, and you just hear a voice. It's almost like sickly, almost like a diseased whisper, where it just says, "Time to go to church." And like Khosret walks back into his shadowy place, and Jess has him, so he can't go.
I'm literally holding
You got
him.
him.
He can't
Yeah,
leave.
you can tell he's like, "Do you want to go to church with me?"
Sure. Sure, let's do that. Just pull him into the sun.
Jess just goes like,
Take me to
Alright.
church. Sorry.
throws him out of his
Here,
out of his
yeah. The shadow darts deep into the abode, and it kind of moves across the wall inquisitively because it has now been broken away from Khosret.
All right. Well, now
I shoot.
Panthers.
do a shooting. It's gonna be a target 8.
Wait, are you shooting at the shadow or?
You
With
can.
my fancy
Okay,
gun at the
alright.
shadow. Oh god, yes. I'm not shooting at it.
I'm just
Dude.
checking, you know.
Sorry, I was picturing as soon as Khosret's in the sunlight, it's like, die, motherfucker! Sorry. Holy moly.
1 second. You said. 1 second.
It's 8.
Okay, shit. Crap. This is not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen actually, because I only have 1 point in weapon, and
Shooting?
What
about shooting?
No,
Yeah,
you have a shooting skill.
Yeah.
Which is also a 1 point. So
You're the best.
Even if I got a 6 and I used that point up, it'll be a 7. So
Just roll it flat, sweetie.
Got it. You got it.
Okay, all right, fine. I'll roll it for you.
You
all.
can
for
actually
fun.
hit it on a 7.
Okay.
The reason it was 8 last
Oh,
time is
come
it
on.
used a stat called Aberrance to raise. It used its vampiric speed, which actually gives it a second attack as well.
Shit.
Vampi-
Okay. I got a 3 plus. There was no point. I got a 3 plus a 1 would be a 4 still. So
It dodges. It sneaks into the corner. It's making its way out.
It's not going to use its point in celerity. Sorry, whatever it was to attack us.
Celerity.
It would be, well, let's see. It's going to attempt to take hold of Ashley. Ashley, hand to hand. This is going to be your target number to beat on this is 6.
All right.
It has powers, but it has finite powers.
Okay. I'm gonna spend all 3 points then. Because otherwise, I'll spend 2 points.
I believe you. You got this.
Yeah. Fingers crossed. It's fine.
Okay. Oh boy. Alright, I ended up spending 2 points, so that's a 5. I did not spend all 3 points. Oh. Oops.
You take 5 points of damage.
Oh God.
How you doing health-wise? If you hit 0, you're not dead, but you are injured.
I only had 5 health.
You're knocked unconscious by the vampire.
Yep,
Ashley
so
goes
Ashley gets knocked unconscious.
Takes a big old bitey bite out of you. You feel blood leave your body. It tries to imprint itself on you, and at that point, it is slinking out.
Blink from this motherfucker, and I shoot again.
Okay.
No, wait, no, never mind. Wait, question. Rather than that, I'm going to hand-to-hand combat it, and I'm going to use my MOD or MOS. Sorry, not MOD.
This is
Use it.
great.
Pull into
You-
the sun.
You like Thor's hammer, because it's a shadow, right? You jump and smash the hammer fist on it, breaking the clay ground and the earth. The shadow just kind of moves off unharmed because it's in shadow form, and your fist, it's impervious to that as damage, which is unfortunate because it was a perfectly landed dramatic blow. But you can tell the vampire doesn't want to mess with the 4 of you because you all clearly know how to deal with vampires. You have stakes. You're
Who
firing
has
heavy arse.
who has the stake, by the way? Because
I still do.
Okay, if I can get my hands on it, I can weapon skill it at the vampire.
Yeah, you can toss it, right? Because you've got that.
I
you got
I
8?
can't. Yeah.
Yeah, I toss it straight into your hands.
So you like
All right,
pass
Jess.
it off to Jess, and Jess is like, "Eat this, vampire scum!" and just like throws the living steak directly at the vampire.
You throw the stake. It's going to be a target number. Let's see. It's going to be an 8.
I spend 8 points.
Yes.
Hits it. The vampire is now stuck in place, in shadow form, kind of shaking, trembling.
I walk over, I grab it, and I just drag it into the sun.
Yes.
It just disintegrates as it's pulled into the sun in shadow form.
Bros,
Ashley's hurt.
not to panic you or anything, but Ashley kind of needs, medical stuff, right?
There's been gunplay, so like there's people right in the street, so everyone's kind of on the high alert now.
Go. Get into the car. Get into the car. Take take Cosworth back to Yusuf's. I've got this.
Got it.
I can take
And then,
Ashley to the hospital.
Ashley.
Right. I grab Cosrit and like shoulder, carry him.
While you're unconscious, Ashley, you have a haunting vision. Your friend Daria, your bestie, her soul is being ripped from her body, and her corporeal form is being dragged through the fiery rivers of hell. And her soul looks as if it's being fed to a dark entity. It is a terrifying dream. By that point, you wake up with 1 HP as you are stabilized by the party. And the car is en route. Where are you all headed?
I think I'm sending them off to Yusuf's, but I think I'm taking Ashley to hospital. She does not look well enough to at least get some regular... Well, actually, you know what? Can I roll
He gets
medic
good
first?
Yeah, you have... You're able to give her medical treatment. Go ahead and roll a d6, and this is how much health you'll restore Ashley after a lot of medical treatment. Now, you are somewhat traumatized by being bit by a vampire. It's not a good feeling. It's not something you want to happen.
It ain't fun.
It ain't fun. It ain't the fun kind of nibbling. It's the bad
Question.
kind of biting.
Is there anything in the game where if you are bit by a vampire, you like get infected by a vampire? Is there a scenario that could happen? And
I'll say this: there's about 20 different things that could happen, and they're
Oh.
all very interesting and unique.
Oh.
In this one, the vampire was, since it realized it was going to lose Cosret and be broken, it wanted one tasty bite to tide it over until it finds someone else to mess with.
Now it's dead.
it is
Yeah.
dead, right?
Yeah, it is dead.
Okay.
Dead. Sure,
Yay.
certainly.
I mean, I
thing's
got
not alive.
pulled into the sun.
It got sunned.
Nice. I feel like that was like that moment of a nice little, achievement thing coming up. Whoop.
Whoop, killed a vampire.
With the catchy title to it.
Oddly to note, if Ashley hadn't been bitten, it would have been able to escape in the sunlight. It would have got hurt, but because of the bite, there was enough blood on the scene for it to take some physical form, which you all know now is the key to causing Orphic vampires to materialize.
Take that, vampire, you jerk.
So who's going to be the bloodbath in the future?
Actually,
Oh,
I'm
no.
glad my sacrifice helped us defeat it.
Ashley does recover fully. There is we'll say like a mobile medic service as well. You are laying low because just a week ago your faces were on, French national television is possibly being linked with a explosion in a secure.
Listen, Grant, all publicity is good publicity.
I'm in disguise. I don't know what you're talking about. I've got these glasses.
But after that
I'm
vision-
just joking, obviously. I don't actually believe that.
No, I appreciate the humor.
After that vision, Ashley is even more determined to go to Daria's apartment. She turns to Fro, she's like, I had the worst vision and I need to get to her apartment. I need to find out what happened to her.
Okay, I'll take you. The others are taking calls, right? They'll talk to him. I'll take you to Darius. Sorry. Accent slipped. I'll take you to Darius. What happened?
I mean, that's not a fun experience. Let's put it this way.
I told you I was haunted. If anyone understands, it's me. Go on. What happened?
I had this vision that they were like torturing her and separating her soul from her body and feeding it to some demonic entity.
Is there a point I could spend in... If I spent a point in vampirology, would I understand what's happening here? Is this figurative? Actual?
So there's some things that you'll understand. You know that there is a theme in Greek mythology, and history would give this to you. this idea of catabasis, which is a story in which someone goes into the underworld to try to recover something. This feels as if Daria, Ashley's best friend, is being pulled into the literal underworld and is calling out to Ashley to participate in a catabasis tale to recover her from such a fate.
Do I know how much time Daria would have?
No. In fact, you're not even sure if it's literal or figurative or what this all means.
All right. Here's what
But
I
you
know.
do have some clues. People are missing in the area, and
Here's what we know. People are being stolen. Cosret knew someone who was being stolen. Your friend, the doctor. Daria has a friend, the doctor, who would know more. Let's go to her first, and in all likelihood, they're holed up in the church.
Cosret's still with you all?
Cosret's with the other two.
That's a question. Okay.
Yeah, Cosrit's with me and KP. Yeah, let's say.
Do you want to ask him anything? Because he's starting to come too. He's just like, what day is it? I'm hungry.
It's probably been a at least a couple of days, Cosrit. But what I'm interested in is where have all the people been going?
People. He thinks, he's like, people. He goes, oh no, because he's starting to have a recollection. He's like, I've been taking them to the gates of hell. I've been taking them to the Church of St. Mary.
Are they?
Oh, that sounds just great. Thanks for doing that.
Yeah. In fact, a social skill might butter him up, and he might tell a little more.
I think
Sai, I think you have social skills that aren't intimidate, right?
I do. Okay, let's see. I have reassurance.
Deliver
Yeah,
pizza.
I can do delivering pizza. I do have reassurance. So 1st and foremost, he sits down from me and goes, first, I want you to know you're safe. The vampire that was attached to you has been destroyed. So breathe. You're fine.
I went
And then
KP
he
to
kinda-
be my therapist IRL. Sorry.
Jess is
You
giving
have good bedside manner.
I
Good
feel like
voice.
Jess is in the background that like giving Cosrit a look that's like you're not safe. You're actually not safe, and like
Yeah, good
you're
cop,
safe
bad
from
cop.
you're safe from the vampire, but not from this situation that you're in right now.
And what my colleague and I want to make sure we get at is that there are no more victims that going forward. So if you can provide any information that you know, we are in a nice bar. Are you hungry?
Yes.
Well, you will get that as soon as you answer a couple of questions.
Okay.
Are you thirsty?
Yes, very much so.
Well, once again, right after you answer a couple of questions, and he's going to ask.
I very much want water. It's just
He kind of gives a little bit of
light
a.
over his head. He just starts sweating. Oh.
He does give him like the
Crackers?
Starbucks cup. No, the Starbucks cup.
Nothing in it.
And it's literally just water. It's actually there is no coffee in it. It's just been water this entire time. He's been filling it up.
He chugs and it's like running down his lip and his chin. And he's trying to
Slow
keep it
down.
in. He's very thirsty.
Slow down now. Slow down. Sip at a time. All right. Whenever you are ready. And he kind of takes out this tape recorder that he has in his pocket, like those investigative reporters, or like any private eye would have.
We
like,
still record on tape these days. It's fine. No.
Yeah, that's fine. He's old school. He's old school.
Yeah.
It's an actual you see an actual
Yeah,
cassette tape in there, like a little cassette tape that he's recording on.
I will say the advantage of recording on tape is it lasts longer.
Yeah,
More years than digital. So, all
there
right.
it is.
You can't hack
You know
tape.
what he's
Thank
doing.
you, Bentham. Yeah. Yeah. So, what do you want to know? He
just
does
kind of
have
like
some
how
information.
how this happened. What's the goal? Like, why are they being sent to hell, to the gates of hell? All these people. Like, any information that he has as to like the reasons behind all this. Is this like a ritual? Like, what's going on?
He was told He was minding his own business, and two men from the church came to his stand and started talking to him about the gospel, they call it. They seem pretty convincing, and then he doesn't remember much after that. He said they were just talking, they seemed nice, and the next thing I knew, I was at church, you know? Got churched. He says everything's very fragmented, though. He remembers going down deep below the earth. He remembers running water, having a hard time breathing. There was a woman in a cage or a cell next to him. And the vampires tried to prevent them from talking. And he says the word vampire. He goes, the vampires tried to stop us from talking. But her and I, we whispered in the dark. In fact, she gave me this. He reaches into his pocket and he pulls out a business card. The name on the business card is Daria Kaya. And it has an address. Same address that
Well,
Ashley's headed to.
guess Daria's not home. But we already knew that.
Yeah. He kind of stares at the card, like pockets it, and then he goes, "Do you remember the last time you met this woman and what her state was?"
She was in pain, but most of us were. She was sad. But it was earlier this week. Maybe 3-4 days ago.
Okay, not too long ago. Good. Okay. Well, and that's all the information he has, right? Like.
That's mostly, yeah. And it's just there.
Yeah, definitely.
So you know that his behavior seems non-typical. This is beyond, like, he's not acting this way because a vampire had him. There's probably some substance involved. If you want to
Pharmacy.
spend a point, pharmacy, right?
I am happy to pharmacy. Yes.
Yes, you can tell that he is very much, this kind of response that he's having is in effect of a substance known as ketamine. So part of the reason ketamine was probably administered to him is because he would be, it prevents you from making memories. So they were probably engaging in very unhealthy acts on him and other people, and they don't want them to remember what was happening.
I think Jess kind of leans in like, you weren't taking those drugs on your own, were you? Huh?
No, they administered them at the church.
Makes sense. If there's stuff they don't want people to know. It turns to Sai and goes like, ketamine, it's bad for your memory, you know?
Got it. Seems like they really don't want anybody to know what's going on in there.
Which means that it's something that we need to deal with, more than likely.
Immediately, Sai goes up, especially considering that his nature is like the altruistic nature that I picked. So he immediately runs over to the bar, and kind of orders a lot of food, and orders a room for him as well to rest, because it seems like he really just needs the time off now. And he goes, "Right, you eat this and rest up. There's a room for you and a bed, and perhaps a shower would be in order."
You're dropping
and
him
then
off at Yusef's?
that's what I'm hoping. Is that
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Bada's
yeah.
beating him about the head with a purse. You crooked, dumb dad botted. Where is my husband?
You seem like Sai just like,
yeah.
he's trying to stop it. Stop. He has no memory of what happened. He's a victim just like your husband. Please. And then
yeah.
I'm sure this poor man.
Yeah. Bless you, Sai, she says. She's a little sweet on you. She's like, okay, I shall leave several brain cells left in his head. But I warn him, he's on notice and does not get any desserts or seconds. We will only give him bare minimum sustenance Which here she's very generous. It's like
Yeah.
a 7-course meal, and she's kind of taking
Is like
care of
bare
him.
minimum.
Yeah, it's just kind of like look, and then she's still giving him desserts in seconds.
Yeah,
It's like,
and,
everyone gets treated the same here.
And,
And
like
then she
actually, like
apologizes
strategically,
for him
also
instead.
like Sai wants him here because he trusts Vada. That with her nature, he knows that she would be the type to keep an eye on him, not let him out of sight. Just like that part of him being that
Stern mother.
motherly, that stern
Yep.
mother instinct. So he knows that this is actually probably the safest for him, and also the best place to keep an eye on him, just in case he still turns out to be something still off about him at all.
Something else that's very good too is he's able to tell Bada everything he knows about what happened to Yusef and where he most likely is, even if he can't make that many memories. She at least knows that what was involved, and that it is the church behind it, and that they're picking on locals.
Mm-hmm.
Just move the camera back to Ashley and Feroz. Is the gang all together now? And do you want to head to Daria's?
I mean, Ashley's like, let's just go straight there.
Yeah.
While they're handling Khosret.
Okay.
Like, yeah. Can I like steal another car?
Just the continued Feroz vehicle stealing activities.
It's what I do. Yeah, and I just.
Yeah, but I want you to use a social skill to steal it, only because I was playing Gumshoe and someone said, no, you couldn't ever use social skills to steal a car. I was like, I don't know. I've talked to
Yeah,
some
you
pretty
could.
smooth talkers.
Haven't you ever? Like, I mean, every cop movie ever. FBI, I'm taking your car.
So I'm doing this. I apologize to my friends out there. They're like, oh, Grant's doing this shit. Where it's like, yeah, just tell me which social skill you want to use to steal the car so we can
You know
roleplay that
what?
out.
Ashley
You know
is going
what?
to help you and pretend to still be very hurt.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna pull out a flattery and say, "Oh, you look. Listen, my friend is so hurt. She's an American, they're not used to this place. Can I borrow your car? I'll return it. I promise. She's just so unwell. Look at her. She's practically falling apart."
Absolutely hurt, but are you a movie star? He says when he sees Ashley, and he's just like, we must get movie star to the hospital. And then he gets out of the car and he opens it up, and this is it's a Jaguar, but it's like silver and it's like custom. And he's just kind of like, just bring it back. I trust you. Don't mess up his car. Sorry. The leather interior.
Going in style.
Yeah. I just like that idea. So yeah, that's totally how it plays out. He's just like, oh, bless you all, and then he's like, and there's, yeah, he also like, he's like, I just filled it up with gas too. And like,
Ashley just like limps over to the car, pretending to still be very injured.
Oh, he feels bad too. Like he's helping you, and he's just like, it'll be okay. Takes your hand.
Shukran, thank you. You're God sent. You're God sent.
Well, just tell your wife she is very beautiful. He says, and like he just assumes you're married.
You know what? I actually have a plain band on one of my fingers, so I put my hand behind my back, switch him, and then pull it out. So there is a wedding ring on my finger. Oh, you know what? I'm one of the luckiest men in the world. She is an amazing cook. I know she probably doesn't look it, but she's a fantastic cook. She's very unwell. I should go.
Your husband is a saint, he says, and sends you off in his Jaguar. Sorry, that's me indulging for. So it's like, oh, you can't steal a car with social skills, eh? We just role played a scene, and it worked for me.
So Ashley's like playing it up. She's like, I know they stole my wedding ring. Can you believe? Like,
take mine. And he just has a ring. I was gonna propose today, but I decided, nah.
No, you should propose and make the best memories. That's what I would want for you.
He tears up. He's like, she's amazing. And then, all right, and then we'll move to Darius. Yeah, do we want the whole gang to meet at Darius? Because it's appropriate too. Maybe while you were dealing with Khosret, y'all were stealing the car.
I mean, like while we were dealing with Khosret, they were headed to Darius. I don't want to
Maybe we can start off there, and they can arrive shortly.
Yeah, maybe we arrive later.
I'll say that we text the group like, hey, this is where we're at, just so you know.
Yeah, they have the address too because they got it from Cosret. So we'll have y'all show up when you're ready. So at any point you want to enter the scene, by all means, enter the scene.
The moment I have the moment I have the address, I take her there without even consulting a map. I know the city like the back of my hand because it's one of my familiar cities, and I just want to use that for a second. Okay, bye.
And Ashley is like, I am impressed. Also, we just stole a guy's car.
He gave it
fine.
to you.
I'll find a way to return it. Oh, right, and I switch the ring back to my forefinger.
Okay, excellent. At Daria's apartment, Hana's there, Dr. Hana Tekin. She's like, pleased to meet you, Dr. Hana Tekin. And this truly is a disturbing time. She invites you into Daria's apartment. She has a key.
Okay. Also, but when we're in the car, Ashley would ask you, do you prefer I introduce you as Ahmet or Feroz in the moment when we meet the doctor?
Honestly, Ahmed is probably better, if only because if someone should barge in, at least we can stay consistent.
Okay. So yeah, so when they get there, Ashley is like, "Hi, I'm a good friend of Daria's. She's been on my podcast several times. We've kept in touch. This is my associate. He's a reporter, Ahmet, and we just want to make sure that she's okay. And it doesn't sound like she is. So I wanted to take a look around her apartment. I'm really worried about her."
The doctor's like, well, thank you so much for coming. I hope I can help in any way possible. Ahmet, my pleasure is mine to meet you. Daria went missing about 4 days ago, and I did go to the police, and this morning, in fact, but they seemed to kind of blow me off. They were like, these young women of the West are, it's normal for them to go missing for 3 or 4 days at a time and resurface. It's strange. But there were other officers that said it didn't matter. It seemed like there was some internal disagreement as to whether that was appropriate behavior or not. Yeah, so there seems to be some dissension.
And up until this point, Daria had been pretty vocal about stuff going on with the church around here. I saw some stuff in the news about it.
Oh, yes. As you know, Daria is an expert in what we'd call... she has spent the past few years working under Francesco de Andria and was excavating caves in Hierapolis, Pluto's Gate being one. She felt that the church and the government were disturbing an ancient site, and their intentions were in fact ill-meaning.
And do we know anything about that site they were invading, like specifically? Is there anything she found out? Like, what makes it so sacred?
She says, well, essentially, it was believed to be connected to the land of the dead, also known as the land of Hades or Pluto. The ancient Greeks used to build shrines to Pluto there, and she believes that, according to her research, deep underground, there was a Plutonian shrine, or a gate to the land of the dead. However, the church has been doing massive construction in the area. They have been encroaching upon the more sacred sites of the Plutonian religion, and there was some friction.
So, this temple, it was Roman?
In a sense, it was Greek. History's complicated and messy. The origins were Greek. I say Pluto because I just love the dog from the Disney cartoons. Forgive me, but it was Hades.
I definitely because I'm a local Turkish reporter. I kind of make myself at home, so I'm like while
Yeah.
this interrogation is going on, I'm making a cup of tea for this poor doctor who's clearly probably gone through several cups
Do you
already.
have a notice?
Well, that's exactly what I was getting to, my friend. Yes.
Okay, sorry. Yeah.
fine.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm keeping an eye out. Both to see if there's anything in the apartment that I notice is amiss, but also I want to analyze her a little bit. Because from what, correct me if I'm wrong, Blythe, but Ashley doesn't know this doctor. She knows Daria. The only person who seems to say Daria knows this person is the person herself. And if there's one thing Feroz doesn't trust, is someone without bona fides, despite the fact that all of his bona fides are forged.
I mean, Ashley's just gonna keep her talking, which is, classic. Like maybe she'll slip something up if we keep her going for a
Okay.
second.
Bullshit detector would reveal that she is on the up and up, but she is overly prim and proper. The main reason you have had no contact with her is she tries to keep out of the public eye. She's not in academia to become a famous academic. She actually believes in the cause, in the outcome, rather than her own personal glory. And mostly she's here because when Daria travels and is abroad, she waters the plants. They're gal pals. And good doctor. But she is quite reserved, and you can tell that she is absolutely disturbed by this and feels completely out of her depth, because this isn't, a paper to write or grade, nor the kind of problem she's equipped to solve.
Ashley, as far as I can tell, this woman's legit, but she probably can't tell us anything. Why don't you look around the apartment? I'll just sit here and talk to her about archaeology.
Okay. I will, so Ashley nods, gets up and goes, you made tea, right? So yeah, she's just gonna be like, Annette made some tea, maybe that'll help calm your nerves around the situation, and I'm gonna go look around, just so you're all aware of
Ketamine,
that.
my favorite, sorry.
So she gets up and is gonna go to Daria's bedroom or office and start looking around. I don't know how big this apartment is or how many rooms it has.
There's a living room, a dining area. It's a nice apartment with a kitchenette attached. Then there is a bedroom and a guest room and a closet. Now, Feroz, you had mentioned archaeology. Do you have archaeology points to spend? Because that'll give you information.
Spin?
Not spend, or at least have the skill. The skill will get you some.
I do have the skill. Let's hear what I see. Let's see what I hear first, and then I'll decide if I want to spend or not.
Okay. So, she goes in deeper. As she's describing the site, the portal to the land of the dead, you know that it is in fact an Avernus, and it's called such. The reason these are called portals to the dead is because of the toxic vapors that emanate up out of the earth. People die if they go near these literal hellholes, right? So the earth opens up, and then these vapors come up out of the earth, and if people travel by them, they fall dead. That is the physiological earth science reason for people dying in these areas. And there is one beneath the monastery. So Daria has been researching these. So that's what you know at the surface level.
I'll spend a point.
Okay. You know, going even deeper, that Daria, in a series of blog posts, was campaigning ardently to get the restoration project taken down, and that essentially the whole location is essentially a blight upon the Black Sea, and that they're taking ancient and sacred things and using it for inappropriate purposes, while also destroying. She has evidence, she claims, that they are destroying the actual historicity of the site and replacing it with something else, which is why she opposed it.
As Ashley looks about the rest of the room, I just spent the rest of my time, knowing what I know, calming down the doctor. I've got 2 points of reassurance, and I'm just saying like nice things about how I'm sure she'll be okay. And sometimes these she said it first, so I'll just respond with what she said. Sometimes these Western women go away for a little bit. They come back. They always come back, right? I'm sure she knows her way around. Just trying to keep her calm while Ashley explores.
So yeah, Ashley is looking around the apartment, trying to see if she can find any signs of the church or any signs of them taking her.
Okay. Do you have a specific skill you would like to use, such as notice, or
I do
would you like to
have...
examine her computer? Her computer's here.
Oh yeah, I can. Let's break into her computer.
All right.
Let's do that. With my
Data recovery.
intrusion.
Yeah. So you don't need to intrude
Or
because
my data recovery also.
when you try, yeah, that's what I was going to say. Because when you go to intrude, no operating system comes up. It's as if this was a new computer. Data recovery shows you someone very meticulously, very carefully was going through this system, bleaching the drives, purging the drives.
Oh, I forgot that before we traveled here, I was supposed to go through the chemical stuff and work with Jess to figure out what that viral stuff was.
Ooh, yeah.
Do that. Oopsie.
I'll dump.
Oh, well.
We'll dump that back on y'all because that'll give you a bunch of Russian clues to investigate when we go to Moscow. So, if we go to Moscow.
So can we
yes.
just say that maybe at Yusuf's I set up like a system to get the information off the drives? And
we would assume that you did that while traveling. It'll
Okay.
take you some time to get there. And we'll have the data dump. I'll give it to you post session. Because that stuff takes time, but you'll have it. So here's what you understand. So this was very, very expertly done. Would you like to spend a point in data recovery because that'll give you some information?
Yeah.
Okay, so spending a point lets you actually recover some things that were supposedly unrecoverable. First, you see that her password has been changed. It's innocuous. The password is all but dis. And it used to be the birds are dying. And there's a Word doc. It's not Daria's writing, somebody else's. But they're clearly studying, and this looks like it's a book in progress on Orphic tablets that were recently discovered in Greece. There's also a PDF scan of a drawing of a vine growing around a tree, which appears to have symbolism attached, but it's a very rare symbol. If you have vampirology, I can give you some. No point spin.
Okay, I have it.
Okay, so you know that this is a Philomelus symbol. This is symbolic of a vampire taking sustenance from a host. And so that you get that PDF scan.
She just like shivers for a second, like this just happened to her, so she's a little like, oh.
Gross.
And then anything else, you find notes. It looks like the notes, she believes that she found a Plutonian site beneath the monastery, and that she was getting blocked from it. Likewise, you would know that it looks like she probably just went out to get some milk or something. It's not like she was up to anything outlandish. If either you or Feroz has notice and wants to spend points, there is a little more information I can give you about this place.
I will use notice because I do have. I can spend a point notice.
Okay. So, the entire apartment, as you've looked at it, is freakishly clean. So clean that there's no dust on any of the flat surfaces. Like, it would gather after a few days here. But she's been gone for 4 days. There is literally no dust, and you know Hannah probably wouldn't take the time to spot clean everything. But you do find that there's a few smudged fingerprints on a few items. This is very clearly someone was using gloves to very carefully handle objects in the room. But you do find, even though the place is so spotless, there is one crumpled post-it note behind the desk that says G, Church of St. Mary's, after Compline.
Church of Saint. Church
And
of
you would
Saint.
get, and you would guess that G refers to a person.
Wait. It said G Church of St. Mary's after what? Sorry.
Compline.
Okay. Interesting. Does it look like her handwriting?
It's in her handwriting.
Okay.
Is there any more conversation you want to have with Hannah, or does the others arrive yet?
I mean,
Go ahead.
oh, just Ashley's she's doing that, so I don't know what everyone else is doing.
I guess like Sai and I probably arrive like relatively soon after you folks have figured out what, the cleaning situation in
More guess, yeah.
in Darius, yeah.
Sai, you're muted. Your lips move, but I can't hear what you're saying.
Sorry. I was just saying that definitely that Sai has already probably texted all that information that he got from what's his face? What was his
Khosret.
name again? Khosret, yes. About what has happened. Also, especially the status of her friend, of Ashley's friend. The fact that they saw her 3 days ago, they were having conversations. The fact that she could have conversations still meant that at least she's in a state that is not too dire, but definitely some place that no one wants to be for too long. So we should probably hurry as fast as we can. So, and then everything else in terms of what's happening at the church and everything.
Got it. Anything else you would like to do here at the apartment?
I mean, once she finds the post-it note and all the data, and she's pretty much like, okay, yeah, something real weird is going on here. She is going to ask Hannah, has anyone do you get a cleaning service or anything? This apartment's very clean.
No, not at all. In fact, Daria's, well, I don't want to call her slovenly. She doesn't live in a squalor. She does need a little extra help picking up from time to time. It's an activity we like to do together, but we just kind of more chit-chat. We don't, light dusting, things like that.
I think at this point, Feroz has picked up on it too. So, the past few days while she's been missing, has anyone been in here? Have you cleaned up the place?
Not to my knowledge, no. I only came to water the plants.
There's not dust, there's not fingerprints, there's nothing around here. It's like someone deep scrubbed this place and wiped her laptop, and I found one post-it note.
What's on the note? Hannah asks, out of curiosity.
Do you know anyone named whose name starts with G?
G. There's a fella at the Church of St. Mary's that had been talking with Daria recently. She had been meeting with him. They were very secretive about it. He seems like a nice enough fellow. Little,
What's he look like?
average height, average build, nondescript features, kind of a mid-tone, mid-range voice. No, she goes, shortish with dark hair. You can tell that he tries to brush it. Athletic build. His eyes are actually quite beautiful, and his voice is very sonorous and melodic when he speaks, but seems a bit like a shy kid, probably why he's stuck with the church. His name was Brother something or other. It doesn't quite roll off my tongue. I only met him briefly when I went to pick her up.
Interesting. And that person hasn't come around here much before?
No, she goes sees him, because he's up at the monastery in the church.
Okay, well, Amit, I think that the church is our next point of investigation.
Yeah, I'd agree. Thank you so much for all your
Yeah,
help.
yeah. That it seems like everything's pointing us there for sure.
There's one thing I want to just double check before we leave, because I'm a naturally suspicious person. The few things that nobody would touch if they were cleaning up are like the plants. So is there anything off about is there a note hidden in them or anything? Any information? Or do they even look watered? First.
They're plastic. No, and she's been watering plastic plants for years. I do such a good job taking care of them. She's like really bad at watering plants. So Daria got plastic plants to make her girlfriend feel good. Sorry. That's canon now, and that's what happened. Sorry, fictitious Canna. That's your relationship now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things where the plants are fine and they haven't been messed with. There's no secret hidden message. They're just good plastic plants. And with that, yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, let's go.
And with that, I think we're coming up on our break. So we'll throw it to Bentham.
All right, we will head to a break. We'll be about 8 minutes, and then we'll be back with the second half of the episode. Go grab a stack and do all the normal break things, and we'll see you soon. Hello and welcome back to sBlackAgent's The Hungry Dead, Episode 2, Part 2. Let's get straight back to it without further ado.
We are right back into it. No breaks. The vampires come in through the windows and they attack everyone. No, I'm kidding.
Okay.
It's like, all right, roll initiative. So you have leads, and your main lead is pointing to the Church of St. Mary's. And it's a beautiful building at the summit of a slope that overlooks the Golden Horn. And you're able, if you would like, to try to gather more information about the church, if you'd like, using your investigative abilities before you go. Or you can just head straight there. Some of the information you already have about the history of it. It's surrounded by high walls and things like that.
Actually, you know what? So I don't think I have any points in bureaucracy, but there was mentioning of how, like, there was an official sort of reconstruction team there. I want to check how. Basically, I want to call and see how legit all of this operation is, because it's different if, like, this is a conspiracy cover for something versus there's an actual reconstruction happening. So I think I'm going to call my contact, Leila Nazim, because she's in permits. She would know, right?
And if you need any help with the bureaucracy aspect, I do have a point in that. So,
Okay. So you call your contact. She says, I denied them the permits because I didn't want to get the public and political pressure coming down on me. These are treasures and the riches of history gathered in one place, and I didn't want to be disrespectful to that. I got overruled, and then I got disciplined for it from on high. So it's official, but it went against my better judgment, and I was told to sign papers and pass it on.
And Feroz has no... Wait, yeah, Feroz has no need for an accent with her. Could you tell our friends that we're heading to the church in that case? And ping them about any leads on Moscow. I mean, on Russia. Because we still don't know anything. Something off going on there.
And she agrees. She's just like, all right, I'm on it. But just be careful out there. The public can get to the church, but the monastery is forbidden. So if you are going in deep, just understand that it's right into the lion's jaws.
Do you think... how far can use me to get in?
You probably could get a meeting with the head of the church at the local area. What was his name again? His name was he's the arch what is his name? Oh, the archimandrite Konstantinos Demetriou.
Right.
Essentially, he's the abbot.
That is amazing, Layla. Actually, you know what? One more thing. I need you to set up a flight plan out of here, and a quick way to get out of country, just in case.
Well, am I your travel agent now? She says with a smirk. She goes, I've got you covered.
Got you. Thank you.
But I get the miles. No, sorry.
I mean, honestly, just get us a permit for a Cessna and no miles needed.
Loud Cessna engine. All right, here we go. Stop with camel. Sorry. Yeah, we got you.
And with that, yeah, I think Feroz is ready to head to the church and ready to get us a meeting with Actually, that's perfect. Yeah, I email the church asking for an interview on behalf of a podcaster who's only in town for the night.
Their response is they're like, ooh, a famous podcaster? And they're like, yes, and yes, this is our chance to stand on our platform and speak against the lies that went against us. So yeah, they're willing to permit you to come to the church and meet.
Perfect.
With the Richard Nixon of abbots. Oh, well, the church is on the up and up here. I'd do it again if I had to. Sorry, I'm going into a whole Frost Nixon thing. I do believe they were using listening devices. Some might call them hearing devices. And wigs. Sorry, I'm not going to do the whole Nixon. Too late. All right, I'm back. Yeah, so you have access to the church now. There is a large set of doors. Normally, the public are permitted in, but you know that there are certain areas that they won't allow individuals to cross. There are visible signs of excavations. That looks like it is connecting the edifice itself to the edifice itself to the mountainside. The road that leads up to the church is known as the Ascent of the Standard Bearer, which is in honor to the Ottoman standard bearer who died here. The last thing I'll say about the church is there is an unusual statue, not statue. There's an unusual correlation here with this church and other churches, even in the general vicinity. This monastery is not connected to anything local here. It's connected directly to Greece. So the Greek Orthodox Church has control over this building. That's that.
Interesting.
So you are free to knock on the doors, but I am curious who knocks.
I mean, I wish I knew his name, so I knew who to. I wish I knew who to ask for with the G name. Could we have gotten like a list of who works here?
No, they're not that kind of church. There's no directory. With that said,
Can I try?
this is going to end with Feroz sneaking in through the back of the church, coming out, unlocking the doors, and you delivering a pizza. I've played this game. What would you like to do?
Before you ask, the Turkish word for pizza is still pizza.
What's the French word for pizza? I want a shirt with KP's face on it that says that. Just
Listen, you can't just give away the ending, all right?
Okay.
There's a process. Now I don't want to do it.
No, go for it. What you got?
I think this is just Sai's de facto go-to way to see if anybody's at home, and he just knocks on the door and goes, "Pizza delivery."
The door opens, and there is a mop-topped, athletic-built, shorter than average young brother who opens it. He goes, "That quickly? You said it was going to take over an hour." And then he's like, "Where's the pizza?"
Can I use my preparedness?
Yes.
Yes.
Gonna be 4 points. No, it's gonna be 2 points.
Wait, preparedness for a pizza?
Yes.
I'm here for it. I'm gonna let you exchange the pizza for another benefit in game, only because I like that we're going with the meme.
I need
Games,
to
y'all.
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna roll this, and I'm gonna use. I have 2 more points preparedness left, so I'll use 1. Come on, baby. Yes. That's a 4.
You have the pizza and anything else you should need during this endeavor. I'll let you swap the pizza for something else you need because you made your roll. Within reason. Yeah, so he takes the pizza. He's like, "Oh, I've got all the right toppings on it."
So we aim to deliver.
Well, thanks. How much do I owe you?
What's the currency in Turkey?
Is it Lyra? Lira?
I'm not sure.
L-Y-
Actually, I am literally gonna Google. I'm
LYRA.
gonna look it up. Turkey.
I'm also about to Google how much a pizza
It's a
costs.
lira. It's a lira.
Lira.
That's
There
There
how
we
it's
go.
repeated.
You know how I knew that, right? I was the first kid in elementary school to catch Carmen Sandiego, so I used to know all the currencies. Yeah, they gave me an award in assembly. It was great. I was also the first kid to complete the Oregon Trail. Original esports star Grant Ellis. Someone caught her. Carmen Sandiego's been apprehended. It's like, thank you. So, all right.
Cheers,
Yes.
accolades.
So
So that
pays you.
would be 75 lira, please. I actually literally looked up the cost of a Domino's pizza in Turkey, so 75 liras. No, plus plus another 15 for the extra toppings.
Yes. I like how
I feel like during this scene I'm just pressed against the wall, like waiting for them to like open the door wide enough
Here's-
to grab the pizza.
here's what I envision, just to frame this if we were to do a flashback. Ashley with digital intrusion broke into the last time they ordered like a pizza over their Turkish DoorDash, found out the exact order they had. Sai went, probably made it himself. Just listen, I can make a pie, and then deliver
Make a
his-
pie. Sorry.
Yeah, sees the local delivery guy, steals a costume, arrives with it, and it was a lot of work, but it delivered, and he's just like, yeah, he throws it in, throws a tip.
Mind if I use? So the one thing I wanted to do. So he goes, "Do you mind if I use your bathroom? I'm so sorry. I have so much runs today. I have not had any break. If
You
you
have
can,
the runs,
maybe
by all means. Yeah, he opens the door, takes the pizza. He's like flushed twice. No, he doesn't say that. He just says yes. And if they ask who let you through, just tell them Brother Girasomos let you through. That's his
Thank you,
name.
brother.
Starts with a G. Brother Girasomos.
Yes, almost. Okay. Thank you
Yes.
very much, brother."
So Ashley would pick up on that this is a member of the church whose name starts with G.
And also, this is the moment where like Sai's, as he walks through, he's like taking account of like access points, taking account of like the entire room, and kind of just looking around. Is there anybody else nearby? Anything else I can see?
Ooh, as you're going in, there's beautiful artwork all through here. There are many closed off areas, though. You would have to do some sneakery to get past. Bless you. Any of the protections, the innate protections that are here. But there are a few members of the church working. It seems pretty sparse at the moment. There are no tours going through here right now. You are able to find the facilities. They're immaculate. Anything else that the group was due up front? So the brother's like, what can I help the rest of you with?
We were just, taking in the scenery, and I've noticed this church has been in the news lately, and I'm something of an expert when it comes to the cult. I don't know if you've heard of me, but
Are you the podcaster? The cult? This is our religion.
No,
So-
occult.
so-
Occult.
Okay,
Occult.
I was gonna say.
Occult.
This is something me and my friend Eric talk about sometimes. We're like, no cult typically refers to themselves as a cult.
Yeah,
They have some other
The-
name.
the occult studies.
Occult. Sorry, occult.
Occult
I
occult
apologize.
and religious studies. She's like, I wanted to do a piece on this place because I've just been hearing so much about it, and I've been traveling a lot, and I thought it would be like really great for the podcast. So I just wanted to like look around.
Oh, you're the podcaster.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
the
famous.
abbot. The abbot's waiting for you. You notice that's the most lively he sounded. He's got really dark circles under his eyes. Looks like he hasn't slept in like 4 or 5 days.
How's his shadow looking?
Not good. It's moving on its own.
All right. That's about right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so she's like, yeah, I wanted to interview about everything that's going on and just get a little bit of history about this place. I thought it would be a really great think piece, and I thought it could get you some really nice publicity.
Mm.
Do these people speak English, or has Photos been translating this entire time?
For simplicity's sake, we'll say English. They're all Greek here, and they will their English is pretty good. We'll say.
Jess has positioned herself as camera person for Ashley again, because that's just the easiest cover for someone who sucks at cover.
Yeah.
They're both here for the interview. You can just let them in. Actually, I wanted to talk to you about something. If I could. After. Take them first. I'll wait here.
Sure. She takes you back. They take you deeper into the church, and there's a small room that has been set up. It's a pretty simple room, and they take you to a man. He's wearing, a black cap with veils that come down. He has a very well-groomed but intense beard, and his hair is shaggy. He wears a small pair of square-rimmed spectacles. If you had to describe his demeanor, you would call it saintly. So you come in, and he takes his hands into a temple position. He's like, "Ah, yes, the podcaster. It is so my pleasure to help you get downloads." Kind of looks to someone for advice, and he's like, "I don't even know what the kids are listening to music on these days."
Well, it's listens and views, and I do a lot. I love doing these travel pieces because it helps people understand the world better. And my dogs are barking.
Let the dogs out. Hey, I made a funny. That's the one joke I know.
Are those hellhounds I hear?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
As soon as we say the words podcast, that's when the dogs start barking. That's how you know it's for real. It's just like, oh yeah, I've heard you have the dogs bark. Nah,
Yeah.
You're good.
So she's like, and I love doing these pieces so that people can get a better understanding of different faiths and cultures from around the world. And, I've heard a lot about you in my studies and just really wanted to get to know you better. This is my camera assistant / producer, and she points to Jess. And this is my other producer, and points to Sai.
Is Feroz there, or is Sai there? Because Sai's wandering around the church.
Oh, Sai's wandering around. So is Feroz
Sai
here?
can jump in.
Feroz is
sweet pizza.
Feroz has been left alone to his own devices, and he enjoys it that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is my
This is
producer / camera person, Jess, who's absolutely lovely and is help record things and get me some B-roll of the church.
Yeah, of course.
All roll is a roll in this church, as they say in the biz. Hey. No, there's that thing. When I was in film school, they'd be like, "There's no such thing as B-roll. It's all A-roll. Shoot it like it is." It's like, it's B-roll. It's B-roll.
Oh my god! Now I have a offline. I have a story about someone who doesn't know Anyways,
I love that it's offline. I have this story.
So Ashley's like, so I was just curious. I know that this is kind of located near some Avernesses, which are considered sites to Hades a little bit, and I was just curious why you wanted your church near there. A Greek Orthodox church doesn't typically have a lot of connections to Hades specifically, and so I was just curious about that. Can you just tell me a little more?
Oh, well, we are Christians, so
He's got the camera right on him.
Pagan. He's like, "Are you even in focus?" No, he's just like.
I don't have any photography skills, so probably
he's like,
not.
I'm less concerned with the pagan traditions. We have our own Old Testament connections to these sites, and there are.
Ashley does use her phone to record these, by the way.
Oh, he's very.
She is recording this.
he's like, there's the story of Jacob wrestling an angel, and it's very similar to some of the myths and religions, and it's just a way that we play our part. But these are our lands; they are church owned, and we should use the land as we see fit and exercise our agency. No connection to any Greek myths.
I have noticed that there have been some protests around some recent restorations you're trying to do around certain sites.
You hit the hot button. He's just like, yeah, there were definitely there were protests. But we took all the protests very, very, very seriously. Your bullshit detector's going off. He is clearly hiding something. We even came out with a public statement and apology, which is true, they did. But these things could be worked out.
So I can tell he's just not. He's like, he's not on the level. He is lying.
No,
Jess
he's
is-
about to
Jess is
delete
just-
his Twitter account.
Jess is just nodding along,
Cut.
like, yeah, all right.
And she's like, well, how do you plan to work with them? And these are historical sites, and Christian or not, they do matter to some people for different reasons. So I was just curious how you would she's gonna say, like, just curious how you would strike a conversation with them and how you plan to work with them and make sure that you are properly restoring a historical site and still keeping its integrity while also using it for your purposes.
He sort of, his eyes kind of rolled back as he noticed this is one of the things, the sweat's starting to pour. It's one of those things where it's like, oh gosh, you've got him. He goes, I believe that in a metaphorical sense, we can serve both purposes. Where metaphorically the site remains traditional, pagan, historic, but physically and in actuality, we build our monastery. And there's some light cheering in the back, yeah, from the other monks that are eavesdropping.
And you don't. Just hold on. I have to think about this in like a not an antagonistic way, because all of her questions have to be tame. She's like, and so you're not concerned that the protests seem to have continued, and though I have noticed one of their
I
leaders.
see no protesters. What was that?
Well, recently I noticed a good
His
friend of mine.
eyebrows thicken.
She's like, recently I noticed a good friend of mine was actually leading these. I've had her on the podcast before. She doesn't seem to be around. So did you talk to her? Have you come to
What friend? What's her name? That is so troubling.
Oh, just one of the many protest leaders.
No, the name.
I feel like there's a moment where Jess looks to Ashley like, I mean, there's like this non-vocal, like, we're in the door, like, he's here, he clearly knows like stuff about things, like, maybe I could just, there's like this look that passes.
Ashley definitely gives Jess the like, oh, bad cop is coming. Like the look that she gives Jess is basically like, yes.
Yes, but wait. Yeah.
Yes, but she also wants to see if she can get him to say the name.
Yeah, all right.
She's like, well, it started with, see, she was a guest on my podcast. We're not like super close, but like, it started with like I don't know. I think it was like a D or something.
That's when one of the other monks outside the door goes, Daria.
Yes, that was it.
He goes pale.
Have you reached an agreement with her and this cause? I know that the historical sites are really important to her.
I have not seen Daria in 4 days.
bullshit detector going off?
Well, he hasn't seen her since she got thrown into hell. So, she's not actually thrown in, and she listen.
Interesting that you'd say that. You haven't seen her in 4 days, really? Neither has her girlfriend.
No.
Bar.
That's when Jurasomo sticks out. He's like, girlfriend. Oh, kind of slinks away, and the abbot's like, you're a man of the cloth, anyways. And then he's just like, oh.
Yeah, she has a girlfriend.
Good for her. I approve.
Do you? So progressive of you. And then she kind of just turns to Jess and she's like,
Jess like hands the phone back off to you or whatever she's been recording with, and then just approaches the abbot and like pushes him into whatever wall is nearest by. Yeah, just like pushes him into it. It's like, listen here, you scum sucker. Where's Daria, and what have you done with her?
He's stuttering. He's hyperventilating. Some of the other priests.
Any hesitation leads to face slapping.
Okay, he gets slapped in the face, and then his glasses are knocked crooked. Oh, I put all my many pairs of glasses away. I could knock him crooked. But yeah, he just goes, the gate. She was being taken down to be prepared for the gate through the monastery.
Okay, all right. Well, now that we've figured that out, why don't you lead us to where we can find her so that we can deal with this whole situation in a much more amenable manner than me wiring this whole place to explode and wiping your church off the face of the earth, huh? Because I think, you know, that would be bad for everyone.
He starts to like tear up. This is an elderly grown man who has seen some shit.
Jess has no sympathy at all.
I know, but he goes, don't make me go down there. They'll kill me.
She like stares at him as if she's trying to determine whether or not
he can be forced to lead you, but he knows he will die if he goes down there.
Tell you what, you make sure we don't get any trouble from up here. You show us where to go, and I'll let you stay up here like nothing happened.
Okay. Perhaps Girasomos takes you? He knows how to get in. And, essentially, there is a sealed gate in the back. It's not guarded by members of this church. It is guarded by others, those from the outside, those from the old country. They're using it for their purposes. We are simply a front. It's why we are out here at all.
And then Ashley's just going to be like, are they vampires?
He doesn't respond at all. He says, I believe they are damned.
And how does a
I
church
am as well,
with something like... Yeah, she's like, so how does a church get mixed in with something like that? Especially a Greek Orthodox Christian church.
Well, technically, we subscribe to Saint Philomelos. That's a Greek word.
I can't spell any of these.
Philommelus, and it was connected. If you remember the symbol of the vine wrapped around the tree that you found, that was a philomelic symbol.
Yeah.
A vampire feeding off the host. So they subscribe to Saint Philomelos.
Okay, so you subscribe to vampires. That's good to know.
What? Well, religions evolve over time. The very concept of Christmas trees is a pagan ritual.
Yeah, we're not talking about Christmas trees here. Like, gives them a little further push.
We're talking about things that kill people, and I have noticed several of you have several attached based on the fact that your shadows are moving on their own.
You say that, the shadows begin to form into shapes They're not in the room with you. They're in the halls. Sorry.
Yeah.
They're not there, so you're not going to get attacked by like 3
Yeah.
vampires. He goes, they feed on us.
I can tell. You're looking a little,
That's old age. They don't feed on me.
Oh, I meant the other guys. They're all looking a
Oh,
little
yeah.
haunted and tired.
yeah, definitely. Okay, well, have your guy lead us then if you don't want to do it. And as long as you're not going to cause any trouble, or anybody up here is not going to cause any trouble, we won't have any trouble.
All right. So,
She
question
will
for the-
blow this place to bits if you cause any trouble.
I believe it.
I've been waiting to do it to some things, like, this whole time, so just give me any excuse, really.
Don't get between Jess and a weapons package.
Yeah. Sweet
Right.
C4, how I've missed you.
I can't bite into it like a chocolate bar. That's what I felt like doing though. It's delicious. Question: what has Sai been up to while this has gone on, and what has Feroz been up to?
So Sai has honestly, he's just been like going and exploring, kind of mapping out the place, investigating, trying to find any form of clues as to where this entrance might be, what kind of activities have been going on, and honestly, just kind of if there's documentation, so anything he can find to kind of understand why this is happening. Like, what are they up to?
Yeah.
Like, why are they tossing people into the gates of hell? There's got to be some sort of a purpose. Is this like some sort of a ritual, and so on and so forth? So any piece of that sort of information, and also just mapping out as he goes the entire location.
Here are some things that you've learned. So there's a number of priests here. One, the priest, Brother Cyprian. He knew Mykolakos. Like that, Mykolakos was a monk from here, remember, and he was found dead. And he had learned of his passing and was very grieved by it. The fact that his friend wouldn't come back. And he confesses that most of them have not been the same since what he refers to as the initiation. And all the monks here have an initiation which is strange and upsetting. And they read from tablets in Greek, but they are not Christian in nature. They are Orphic in nature. And Ashley knew that Dr. Hannah was actually working on a book on these Orphic tablets. So there's a good chance they are in the building. Another thing that you've learned in your going-ons is the Gerusiamos, the brother, he describes the initiation as, they read from the tablets, he says, and then you wrestle with something powerful, very much like the biblical story of Jacob wrestling with the angel. He goes, something you end up in a conflict. He goes, but I have very little recollection of it because, well, they give us a substance to partake, the ketamine, that you know.
Yep.
They keep us under their control. And that's what Sai has figured out. Feroz, what were you up to?
Ooh, well. There's a couple things I want to keep an eye on. One, I want to learn more about the conspiracy, especially any other place we should go to next. Two, I know that there's a gate here. I've already been through this. I want to know where it is. And I think that's it for now. Oh! If I wanted to turn this church into, let's say, a vampire killing field, how would I go about that? That's 3.
First, you need to find lots of vampires. Your feeling is you would either need to lure them out from deep below, but there's a chance they have tunnels below that let them access darn near any place in the city. In order to get to those tunnels, you know you will have to go through the monastery. In your recon, since everyone was you and Sai kind of came together, and you managed to see the entrance to the Satakon Monastery, which is behind the Church of St. Mary's. There is a large barbed wire fence around it. It says hard hat area, keep out, official restoration site, no press. And there are individuals, men, women, people. They're armed and they're carrying. They are armed guard, blocking the entrance to that site. So you two have kind of come together to find that. And with that, let's go ahead and bring the whole group back together if you'd like, because
before we do,
go ahead.
Those Greek tablets that I saw. I read Greek. Can I read them?
He learned that they were here. He did not actually see the tablets. They're currently being used in a ritual.
Yay!
So, the priests are leading Ashley and Jess back to the restoration site, which is where Sai and Feroz. So you've managed to gain some details of the building, or rather the site. So you want to learn more about the conspiracy? Well, now you are facing them head on. There are shipping containers. The shipping containers are all labeled Eurydice Investments. There looks like there are other crumbling buildings and other historical sites back here that no one is touching. They've only blocked off this one. There is a little rock chapel that is built into the side of a cave, and essentially, this place is under watch. So you'll have to either press onwards, find a way in, see if you can infiltrate some other way undetectedly. And we've got the gang together. There are currently 4 armored guards out.
Knowing what I know about architecture, and I do know some things about
German
architecture,
too.
would I know my way around these guards?
Okay. What your architecture gets you is it gets you a boom.
To continue, you'll
you feel the best way to do it is to actually scale down the cliff, sneak along ledges, and then to climb up on the other side, and that'll get you in. So it's going to be some sneaky spy stuff. Mechanically, here's how it works. Everyone is it's an athletics check, and you're allowed to use a method called piggybacking. Piggybacking is essentially one person does the check, and each of you can pay a point, like 1 athletics point, to let one person make the roll. And that way, the person with the high athletics can say, oh, it's a 5-point test. I have 8 points, I'll spend 5. And so climbing is probably the easiest way. You can sneak past the fence and past the guards, and we'll get you into the monastery.
Out of interest, how much is this point test?
Yeah, I can definitely do it, but
Same here.
It's a 5-point test.
For athletics, you said?
Yes.
Or we can
Yeah,
let one person do it and spend 1 point each.
Everyone can pay. Yeah, you'd pay in to piggyback off of one person doing the test.
I'm
yeah,
open to either.
I think for us and I both have 8. so.
I have 4.
Oh yeah.
I have
four.
8. I have 8.
Fee,
4.
I think we can piggyback off of you. I'm the one
Yeah.
who found it.
That
I
seems
know.
good.
Yeah, I know Jess. And I silently point towards the cliff and mime going down, scuffling
She look-
across and coming back up.
She looks thoughtful because she also has 3 architectures, so she's like, "Yeah, I see what you're going for," and then like the game begins. Sneaking time, athletics moves. I'll pay the 5 that I need to. Grant.
You only have to pay 4 because then you could roll a die and always
sure.
get a
Yeah.
one. So
Well, I'll pay.
I always
I'll pay-
forget that.
Pay for
Yeah.
it.
You're like, I've got plenty. I'm paying 5. I'm giving you a tip. How badass do I look when I do it? All right. So, yeah, you're able to rig very quietly. Now, quiet or not, there's going to be an infiltration to this. I need everyone to do infiltration tests. Unfortunately, you can't piggyback off of this. Everyone must be quiet. This is a difficulty 4.
Okay.
I will spend. Oh,
Okay,
I'll
luckily
spend
I have
2
one.
points.
Sorry, what kind of test is this?
Infiltration. So you've made the climb, but now you need to be undetected by the
Alright.
German shepherds who are sniffing around
Well,
for people.
I don't have any infiltration, so I'm just gonna roll a die.
Roll a
I have
die, see what
one.
happens.
Nailed it.
Nice.
I exceeded.
Oh yeah.
I'm
That
going
was
to
a
add
6.
1 to whatever. I'm going to add 1 to whatever mine is.
Okay.
Hey.
Nice. Wow, we all did it.
You are all
Pros.
undetectable.
Goddamn pros.
Don't even breathe. It's almost like a contest who can be the quietest. Everyone describe how you evade the armed guards and dogs while climbing up cliff sides and faces with rigging and being undetected. So what we'll go around, we'll go KP, Blythe, Norden Ali, and Elf. So describe how you do this.
I think Sai is just like he's picturing all of the spy movies he's ever seen and kind of just like imagining how like they would go about doing it and attempts to make himself look super cool in the process, especially considering that he got a 6. I think he's going to actually, instead of looking goofy, I feel like the way it would have worked is if it was barely passing, he kind of is pretending to be, but it looks a little goofy. But in this scenario, I feel like he actually is like able to pull it off and kind of just, I don't know how it would look, but like doing like when he like gets onto the other side, like when he's trying to pull himself back up, you can easily have done it just like a little, like just a push up, but instead he kind of grabs it from back and kind of flips backwards up to the top, kind of just at this point a little show offish, a little, just to kind of be like, I'm a spy. So there you go.
I love it. How does
I-
Ashley do it? Or, sorry, I forgot what order I threw.
Yeah. It's KP, then Ashley, then KP, then Ashley, Sai, then Ashley, then me, then Jen.
So yeah, Ashley is a bit. She does rock climbing in her, because she's LA woman. Podcast, brunch, and rock climbing are not unusual for her. So she's just kind of like going with the flow, and every time like something seems like it's getting close, she's able to like, she kind of knows how to like tuck and hide, and she's pretty quiet. Like she knows how to do this. So she's having fun. Also, she's really determined right now to go save her friend, because she and Daria are actually quite good friends. She's actually very worried that her friend is being devoured by vampires right now. So she's like in full determination mode to get in this place.
Okay. And for Rose?
Well, I think Feroz is the last of the group to move, and that's on purpose, because see, the best way to infiltrate some place is to make them look in a different direction. So while he was just wandering about one of the main hallways, he rigged like a heavy curtain rod to fall if he pulled a little thing of floss.
Mm-hmm.
And so as everyone goes down, he gives them 5, 4, 3, 2, tugs the floss, and rushes down the cliff. The actual spy is a lot less show-offy. So he's very quiet. He tosses little rocks to get the dogs distracted. And honestly, I don't even think the rest of the team notice him until such time as they're all in the same place, arriving safe and sound.
Jess doesn't even like the climbing part is like safety equipment is for dorks and just like climbs down
Boulders it, yeah.
yeah, it's fine. And then once it's like in the infiltration phase trying to sneak past these guys, she just gets ultimately lucky. Like she just walks through and doesn't get, you know what I mean? Like just doesn't get spotted by accident. Like whatever Feroz is doing distracts them enough that like Jess's incompetent infiltration skill doesn't matter. And she manages to like slip in unnoticed, but just like in the most happenstance of ways.
And so the party has gained access to the Sadakin monastery, and you're able to go in, and it's hot, much hotter than you would expect. And as you enter the chapel,
What, Grant, once we're inside, just like in the hallway headed down, I'd like to set a phone detonated explosive device in the hallway. Just so that if we get out of here, we can bury the whole place behind us.
absolutely, good call. It is done. Now, there is an awful smell as well. It's not just hot. There's a smell of rotten egg. And it's as you step fully inside, it just fills the nostrils and the lungs, and it's almost overpowering. There is the sound of running water deep below. And at this point, Ashley, you hear a voice, but it's speaking in a dead tongue. You don't know what language it's speaking, but it's a deep, guttural voice, a voice calling up out of hell towards you. And it's as audible as you're hearing me right now, extremely real to you, and it's inviting you deeper. Sai, when you see your hand, every now and then your fingers go transparent. Only you two right now.
That's a bit strange.
So, there are paths, and it's very disorienting going in here. Essentially, it's like it was described earlier. There is, the geometry is almost non-Euclidean at this point. It's an Escher painting, and you know that dangers lie deeper, but that is also most likely where you will find your friend.
So Ashley definitely wants to find her friend, but I kind of want to, like, I don't know if there's something I can roll that determine, like, to figure out whether or not she's like actually enticed by the voice or if she's just going deeper to find Daria.
Bullshit detector.
Resisting. Bullshit detector? I mean, I have that.
So there's another way to do this. In art history or in occult studies might also reveal something to it.
I have all of these because I respect with my history. Okay. But I could use any of those.
Okay.
But I'm just kind of curious. I'm like, is she actually resisting or is she kind of into it? And I don't know yet.
So your art history would reveal to you, it would bring to your mind the words of an Orphic tablet that reads, and wrapped with darkness descend pace by pace, as soon as the soul has left the light of the sun. Journey on the right-hand road to the holy meadows and groves of Persephone. Dig there a trench.
Okay.
And on the other side, you know that this is, if this was a Catabasis story, is one of these myths of, Orpheus going into hell, etc. You're at the beginning of the story. This is your own literal descent into the land of the dead.
Okay. I mean, Ashley's not gonna tell anyone she heard this. She's just gonna keep going.
Dare you risk going deeper?
She wants to save her friend.
All right.
The entire time, you just see Sai staring at his hand as he kind of is following behind everybody, and kind of just like, do you see this? Strange.
Do I see what? Do I see what?
See what?
I mean, no one.
Do I see it?
Does anybody else notice it, or is it just me? Like, is it in my mind's eye, or is it actually physically happening? Or my fingers are disappearing?
No one else sees it yet, but as you delve deeper, it's one of those things where it almost begins to feel like you're experiencing an out-of-body experience. You're still in your bodies. You delve and find more Orphic fragments coming to your mind, Ashley. Take the ever-burning taper from the twice-born who went into the earth and returned. Pay homage to the Chthonian queen who went into the earth and returned. Pay homage to the mother who went into the earth and returned. Pay homage to the poet who went into the earth and returned. In these things are essentially... Well, hold on 1 second. Sorry, my mom's messaging me.
Oh, you know what, Ashley?
Bye, Mom.
Ashley's gonna take out her phone and start trying to type these down as she's hearing them. So y'all just see Ashley pull out her phone and start furiously typing.
Here's what you find out as you do that. Essentially, you're typing it down. These are references to figures from the ancient faiths and the Greek stories and myths. And a lot of this was tied to Daria's research. Now, as you come down to the bottom, there is a small boat that is tethered on the riverside, and it there is a river that you heard the sound of the rushing waters. It's coursing, it's flowing, it's not too rapid. It's a boat designed to go down a river, and at the end of the river there is a dark cave. Very clearly this boat is designed to take into the dark cave. What do you do?
So should I play Charon?
Ashley's just kind of typing these things down so she doesn't forget them, because she's like, this is gonna be important. There's gonna be a test. But she kind of looks at the boat and she's like, pretty sure this is a river Styx situation, and we're about to enter some stuff.
Time to bribe the boatkeeper then.
I mean, who is one?
First of all, the one you cross is the Acheron, not the Styx. Second of all, like I said, I'll play Charon. Get on board.
Do you not get ferried down the river Styx? Is that not a thing?
No, it's more... The gods swore their oaths beside Styx. And Styx is also a goddess, right? All the rivers are. Akron's a god, Styx is a goddess. I'm
Sure thing. Jess gets in the boat.
Well, I mean, Ashley's like, no, I actually want to know. Did I get my reference wrong? Like,
Yeah, me too. I always thought you crossed the river Styx into Hades.
I thought you got ferried down it.
Yeah.
Like, you got
The borders
ferried
the borders of Hades are guarded by the river Acheron. Styx is the river of lost memory, I believe. Like legitimately, this is
Yeah, no,
literally-
I'm just interested now because I'm like, oh wow, I didn't know that. Like, I'm being taught a little bit of mythology, and I'm always up for that. So
Yeah.
You heard that, Bentham. Insert the Northern Elise history moment graphic. No, don't.
As like Ashley's starting to get into the boat and kind of looks at Feroz and shows him her phone and is like, can you help me remember what each of these references? I know one of them references Orpheus, but they all have, I don't know. Grant, can you send me these at some point? Because Ashley's like,
I'll send them to you at some point. I will say this though: they are tied to individuals like Demeter and Hermes, Aeneas, Odysseus, many different people that have
yeah,
been central figures of these Catabasis tales.
Yeah. that's what she wants to remember what each one is referring to, basically.
Okay.
Because they're clearly, it was like, they're clearly referring to different people who've done this. So who are they?
Also, chat, I just remembered, Leaf is forgetfulness, Styx is hate. You were saying? I don't want
Okay.
people to VOD to just yell at me.
So she's like, as they're going down, she's going to basically be like, can you help me figure these out? Which she doesn't know
Sithonian
why,
Queen.
but
I mean, Sithonian Queen is Persephone, or at least I think she's one of them at least. So that's probably her. The poet, that would be Orpheus.
Orpheus.
Yeah, the
that's the only one I know.
boyfriend of Eurydice, and the reason why these vampires are supposedly named Orphic. Maybe this one's a reference to Nyx. Not 100% sure. Why are you
Yeah,
asking about all this?
I have a feeling these are going. So it said pay respects to these. So I have a feeling these are going to come up somehow.
Oh, I got all kinds of respect for him. Don't worry.
Well, if it's Chthonian gods you're looking for, goddesses, you're probably looking at Persephone, Hecate, and maybe Nyx. There's also, of course, the rivers themselves. So Lethe is guardian of oblivion, and then you have Styx, river of goddess, the guardian of the river of hate. I mean, you wouldn't pay homage to them, though.
Wow. Just I there's one of the tablets mentioned this, and I'm just trying to, like, she typed word for word what was said to her. It's just like she's just showing, like, I think these are going to be important, and not saying that she heard this voice talking to her.
So, do I need bullshit detector, or can I know that there's no likely way she would have actually seen the tablets?
You can, I mean, yeah, you can try. She's trying to keep it together and not seem like she's going crazy.
She had not seen the tablets physically, but in her mind's eye, they did appear accurately.
So she's
Somehow.
technically not lying. How did you see the tablets exactly?
I mean, didn't we all see them?
No, we didn't.
No, I didn't see any tablets.
The doctor had a reference to them, but she didn't have pictures of them, and they're being used. What are you seeing? Who's telling you to pray at the altars of these goddesses? What's in your head?
She's just kind of like, I just thought that was happening to everyone.
just seeing this right here, and he's just like really just staring at his hand. It's like, I swear I'm going invisible.
Sai, if you are, that is the world's shittiest magic
Sai,
trick.
I need you to do a stability check. It's a
Oh, no.
difficulty 8.
Oh no!
Oh, good.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's great.
Ashley's kind of looking at
Stability.
Rose.
Stability. Where is that?
It's in the top right corner.
It's
You can
top.
you can spend points towards your stability roll, but if you lose it, you'll also lose points. So, if you're only going to lose like 4 points, maybe don't spend 8, 7.
Right. So I have 5. We have 5 stability to start out, and you need it's an 8.
It's an 8.
So can I roll it and then add on as necessary, or do I have to state it at the beginning?
Declare the points you want to spend before you roll.
Okay. Oh dear lord. I'll spend 3 stability. Let's see what happens. Come on, baby. Oh, yes.
All right.
That is a 6 plus 3 is a 9.
Your hands burst into torches, and then they just go on fire, and they're burning bright. Then they shoot off like comets, and then your regular hands are back, and you know it's just an illusion. It's the effects of the vapors coming up out of the Avernus. You're okay. And you also have the insight now that that's probably what's impacting Ashley as well.
Oh shoot.
Avernus vapors.
Ashley thinks it might be because she got bit by a vampire right now. So she's like, she's like looking at Feroz like, I heard a voice telling me things.
This place is full of... Yeah, there's an Avernus pit here, because I learned this too earlier. Which means we're all being exposed to... So sorry. We're all being exposed to, like, kind of a toxic gas.
Pharmacy? Chemistry?
Yeah. The gas is going to continue to cause hallucinations. It is definitely earthen, toxic fumes. You might want some breath masks. And a preparedness check would have if one person does a preparedness check 4, you have gas masks for everybody.
Yeah.
I
And
brought
think
gas masks for everybody. Sorry.
Nice. Like you see, like when that happens, when his hand bursts into flame. Initially, you just go ah, and you just see him like start smacking at his hand, and then next thing you know,
okay, you're just experiencing intense hallucinations from the gases.
right? And you just see him like stare up into the sky and see his hand explode, and just stare at his hand, and that hand he goes, and he just stares at his coffee mug that he's still holding in his left hand, the Starbucks mug, and just finally toss it. He goes, yeah, that's enough coffee for today. But then with that, he realizes what the hell happened. With the insight that he's gotten, and I'm assuming because Feroz also has this insight already, I guess he can just confirm that actually is what the cause of this is for Ashley. But is there anything he could do with this insight that he's been given, or is that just more of just a confirmation?
You can do a reassurance, which will cause her to regain her senses. Be like a 1 point. So here's how it works: you can either do a 1 point reassurance spend, or you can do a shrink test, which would help her come to. It would be a difficulty 5 shrink test.
So I'm pretty sure from what I remember, I used up my reassurance on
Did you actually spend a point, or did you just say you're using the skill? Because they're different.
Oh yeah, I think I was just using. That's right.
Yep.
I don't think I spent. I said I was thinking of spending it, but then I didn't, and I ended up getting like a high number for it, anyways. So I forget. But
you probably have points, and normally like you don't have to deduct points unless I ask you to, and that's to get special things like Ashley spent a notice point and got like 6 more clues than if it was just notice, because if someone spends a point, it's like there's a lot more details here.
Got it. Okay, then I would like to roll reassurance.
You don't need to roll; it's automatic success.
Oh, I like
you.
That. Yay! So yes, I do have a point in reassurance, so I reassure Ashley while Feroz gets the masks ready, and hopefully that helps bring her back.
I'm rowing, so I just kick a bag and expect someone else to do it.
Okay.
I help assist with the mass distribution.
I grab a mask. No problem.
Ashley
Secure
puts
your
it
own
on.
mask.
She's like, I genuinely thought that might just because of the vampire bite earlier. Also, how did I see tablets I've never seen?
The great
Could
thing
be-
about hallucinations is you don't have to have seen anything.
It could be that you read a little bit of Dr. Hannah's work and then your mind made up the rest, or it could be that there's some combination between the vampire's bite and
Hmm.
the gas.
I really hope that doesn't have long-lasting effects.
You are
Me
all
too.
stable now. You are all protected by gas masks. You have all passed the threshold into the underworld, and you have entered a cave that is known as the House of Hades. It is a cave within a cave. It seems almost as if there is a mist swirling about, but it is not mist. You hear words being muttered by the mist. Hungry, so hungry. I am parched with thirst and death. Give me to drink of the water of memory. Like a ram, you have plunged into milk. And you see that this mist is, some of it is starting to form into corporeal shades and shadows, and they're forming. If you were to feel that you were outnumbered, that is an understatement. And as you see, there are individuals, they look like monks, they're dressed like the abbot was, and Brother Giasomos, etc. They have people in cages that they are slowly dipping into the river. Among them, you see Daria, and Feroz would recognize Yusef, almost as if they are being fed into the river. What do you do?
We're so outnumbered right now.
I think it's time to use a combination of weapons and explosives to throw
Guns
explosives
a-blazing.
a far distance.
Controlled explosion, probably.
Grant, if I were to attach a grenade to a throwing knife and then throw it and stick it into the wall behind wherever it is that they're doing this thing, would I be able to do that without killing our friends?
No, unfortunately, your friends would end up getting mixed up in it.
That's a shame.
If I
Yeah.
drew him into an area, all you would have to do is blow us up.
Yeah, no, definitely. If you can get them together,
All right.
I literally can't fail.
Stay in the boat once we arrive. I like row with one hand and I think away from the others, like in a pocket away from the others. I pull out a sharp knife because I know what the shadows want.
Sorry. It clicked. I was like, "Oh no!"
Wait, what just happened?
Sorry.
Oh, no.
Norden Ali is going to do something very heroic and badass and terrifying.
Yeah.
Or for roses,
Oh.
but
I got you. Okay.
Oh my god.
Once we land, I take a couple steps and I just wrap my hand around the blade and just, which is don't ever cut yourself like that.
No,
It just
no,
takes
don't cut your
ages to
hand.
heal.
Why would you cut your hand? Yeah.
We're just doing this to be cool today.
Yeah.
Don't cut yourself in general, please.
Yeah,
Yes.
please don't. But Feroz will, and suddenly the area around him just stinks of fresh blood.
like 20 vampires are lunging towards you. Athletics to get away.
Yes.
They are forming specter form and they are chasing. There's got to be at least 20 coming after you.
Um,
All right. The plan is, if Feroz makes the athletics check, I use my MOD, or is it MOD? MOS?
MOS?
To explosive devices, like grenade into the area where Furrows was.
Okay, are you going to... Okay. Now, here's what I'll notice. There were some forming. There's still more.
I'm
There's
trying to
still
hit
more.
as many
Yeah.
vampires as possible, Grant. That is the plan.
Okay. I'd say as many as possible would be the large mass of them, not the 20 that broke off. But,
Well, I don't want to hurt our...
I get it.
our-
I get it. You're going to at least be able to separate 20, and it will create a huge disturbance when your explosive goes off. Got it.
Yeah.
And basically,
Great.
as the explosion happens, Ashley is trying to sneak over to the cages and get the people out.
Okay, so do a infiltration for me, and Sai, tell me what you're going to do doing this. So here's how order of operations. First, Feroz is running like the Dickens. Hold on. Then we're gonna have an MOS explosive to do mass damage. Oh no! Did you spend any points, Ashley?
I don't have any more points.
Oh no! Okay. What did you get, Feroz?
I spent 3 points in athletics, because that's all I had left. And I rolled a, hold on, I forgot. I rolled a 5, which makes an 8.
You got exactly the number you needed to get to go through a clearing, and you're clear as you hear a loud explosion go off. Rocks come tumbling from the top of the cave. There is rushing of waters, in all of the dark voices that were pursuing you are immediately silenced under those rocks. The gate to hell is partially closed at this point. You're separated from the group. However, you'll be able to make your way back around to them if you can describe to me in an accurate manner, but we'll cut back to that. We're going to go around first. So, Jess, you just murdered 20 vampires. Not murder, you killed them lawfully and legally.
Yeah!
And that is a huge coup. Just not only that, you realize you've probably ticked the clock about a third of the way to closing the gates of Pluto, closing the gates of hell, making sure none of these nascent newborn vampires can go onward into the world. Ashley, you went down to free the victims.
Mm-hmm.
Some rocks go falling down you, slippery, sloping rocks that kind of disturb the 4 monks that are assisting, and they look up and see you. But they also see Sai behind you. Sai, what do you do to the monks?
Well, I have... You know what? I feel like the best option is just to punch their lights out and knock them out. Because clearly I'm not good with the weapons, because I only have one.
Weapons are your shooting skill. Oh yeah, you don't have the shooting skill.
There's one thing I forgot to mention. I've been like formulating in my brain. Sai has that gun, that nice gun, and it's purely for show. He doesn't know. He just thinks that that's what a private eye would have. He's a punching guy. The gun is like a pure form of intimidation in terms of if ever he gets into a situation where he has to like fluke it with someone. Kind of like that scenario, but there's no bullets even in there. It's just it's a simple gun. So like when he got the actual like really nice like vampire killing weapon, that's probably the closest weapon he's ever had.
So you're gonna go down and do some monk punch.
Like he comes down about to take aim and then realizes that this is probably, especially in this like high stakes scenario, probably not the best option for him. So he just puts it back and then just starts wailing.
I like that. Another option too, I like yours better, is just take the gun, then turn around and just start beating people with
that.
That
works, yeah, like just a combination.
I like him putting it away though, and just like, nope. All right, so hand to hand, and this is you're battling mooks. So in order to take out the 4 monks, it's going to be a difficulty 8 hand-to-hand to take all 4 of them out. If you want to take out 4. If you want to take out 3, it's going to be a difficulty 6. If you're going to take out 2, half of them, it's going to be a difficulty 4. But you could, theoretically, if not, see, there's going to be monks that maybe draw their knives and try to do a stab.
So I will be doing all of them, and
Okay.
I will be using all 4 of my hand-to-hand points to get this. Because, all right, let's see. So 4 plus whatever I roll is going to be a... Oh, that's a 6.
So, you knee one right in the liver, and he drops to his knees. As one comes up behind, you slip the jab and throw an elbow, just shattering his nose. And then as you turn to get the third one, he sticks a knife in you, twists and pulls. You lose 3 HP in the process. But before he pulls it out, you grab the back of his head and crack your cranium into his nose. However, there is one left, and you're wounded. And at that point, we're going to flip over to Feroz, so Feroz can explain either how you get out of there or how you get back.
Okay, so this is a cave within a cave. I'm past a valley. The gate is partially shut behind me, so there's rubble everywhere. But this place was constructed in some sense, wasn't it? Someone crafted this. And where someone's crafted a secret temple, there's always a secret door. I think I have 1 point in archaeology, but I also have 1 point in architecture, and I think I'll spend the point in architecture to know that temples like this, secret areas like this, they always have a place in the back. Usually for some big name priest or something to walk out in a dramatic moment, but other times for a very fun entrance. And I think I purposefully ran in a direction that would allow me to get as close to that door as possible. So bleeding, like I'm wrapping a bandage around my hand. Everything that was related to the Ahmed persona is just gone. And it's just Feroz the spy, Feroz the guy who's been in trouble more times than he can count, running with like purpose to a door that doesn't even look like it exists until he walks up to it.
Got it. And that's literally exactly how it goes down as described. Elf, do you have a point of vampirology?
No.
No.
I do have 8 points in weapons, though.
That may be... does anyone who hasn't gone yet, so does Sai or Ashley have a vampirology?
Oh, I don't think so.
Ashley does.
I
Ashley's
haven't
muted?
spent it, so I do have it.
Yeah.
If you spend it, you will be able to shout out a solution to the problem to Jess. And Jess is the only person with the skills to execute on this.
So Ashley is going to do that since she's already been noticed. So she will spend I will
Okay.
spend a point.
So, vampirology. These are Orphic vampires. Orphic vampires are repelled by some things like the living stakes, sunlight. They have banes, but they also have something that will vanquish them. Fire. Fire will burn them from existence. So if you can set the river on fire, it will do a murder on probably thousands of these vampire babies.
Okay.
Yeah. So Ashley just sits there and just shouts like, "Just set them on fire!"
Right, got it. Grant, I'd like to spend some preparedness
To have a flamer? Sorry.
Flamethrower?
Hey, call back.
Make sure that I have enough, what would you call it, like flammable liquid of some kind,
Yep.
oil, like napalm, kerosene, whatever, like to dump into the water.
I imagine this is like a home-brewed concoction. This is
Yeah.
literally Greek fire. It's like this mythical thing. It's like, I've been looking on the internet, and this
Oh yeah,
is
you're
legit
Greek vampires.
fire.
Here you go.
Yeah. All right. So this is going to be.
Yeah, she takes
A
out a
weapons-
bag and just starts hurling ceramic jars of highly flammable liquid.
So give me a weapons check, and this will determine how
Alright.
much of the river burns.
What's the DC or whatever?
I can't say.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna spend 8 points, and then I'm gonna roll a die.
Okay. That's actually the best option here, because it's a very high one.
11.
That is enough to set the entire river on fire, except where Ashley's about to pull the cages out. And just it goes up in flames. It's as if the breath of Gehenna, the breath of hell, has just breathed on the river. However, in order to prevent the victims from getting burned, Blythe, I need you to hand, possibly, because this monk's going to try to do a stab on you.
Okay. I will use my 3, or no, I only have 1. I have 2 points.
Can I ask, by the way?
No, I have 1 point. I have 1 point, so I'm going to use my 1 point of hand-to-hand that I have left.
Go for it.
Try not to fit this.
You got this.
Ashley does.
You need at least a 2.
Hey!
Yay!
So you dodge the monk, who then stumbles into burning river and just goes up in flames. Sai, with your assistance, you and Ashley can pull the cages out and free the victims. Now, it is at this point, with the river aflame, that you all hear a voice call out. Your hot blood calls him forth. Announce yourself to the Chthonian king. And a vampire emerges in the flame that seems unburned from it. Stands tall, about 7 feet tall. The form is nude, bathed in blood. And
Guys, I don't have an answer to this one.
What do you do as a group?
I mean, Ashley's first instinct is like help others, then help yourself kind of thing. So she's like telling Sai to like usher Daria and like usher the people in cages out of there. Like, and so she's trying to usher and get them out as quick as possible.
Funny enough,
Sai.
that's the same with Sai as well. So he's like trying to do the opposite to you and trying to usher you out too. But then and then he kind of just finally turns to you, goes together, and then he kind of just like puts one arm. Like, I'm assuming most of them are. How capable are most of them of walking on their own or running?
They
preferably?
can get out. They're a bit out of it. But they need assistance. And what I would say is, Sai, give me an athletics check. It's going to be a difficulty 6 to help lead them up the slippery cliffside and get them up out of here.
I have 4 athletics, so
Ashley's like, get them out
If you
of
spin
here.
the 4, then you auto succeed, but you might need more later.
Where you get?
I'll do 2.
I left an explosive device at the door. We gotta get out of here, and we just close the whole place down.
Smart move. Let's go. And then I roll for athletics with a +2. I'll use 2. Yeah.
Woo!
Admittedly, Ashley is like being a little bit slow because she is curious as hell as what the fuck, like, as this to this man. Like, this is like peak vampire thing. She's a little bit like, I need to see this and study this. So she's being a little slow to leave.
God damn it, Ashley! This is
The
not time
question
for
is-
your ratings.
Ashley, you
So
feel
for her.
you feel as you see this vampiric form standing, just radiating intense undead masculinity, toxic masculinity too. He's the fucking king of the dead. But he's it's almost as if he's growing and almost as if the fire is feeding him slightly. You feel a soft and familiar hand touch your arm from behind as you see Daria, who is in the worst shape you've ever seen her in, just touch you softly, and she says your name, Ashley. What do you do?
I thought Daria was going up the hill.
She saw you not going up the hill.
Well, she's like, go with them. Like, go with them. You're
She
supposed
asks
be
you to
out
help
here.
her.
She grabs Daria and like starts like kind of shoving her up the hill, like, no!
She's going. She's making her way. But do you go
I mean,
up the hill or do
Ashley,
you stay?
she's like, I will be right behind you. Like, Ashley is following. She says, also, like, this is the closest to understanding what's going on. So someone, like, we need to know who this guy is, at least on some level.
For Rose, you see this now too. You see the burning man, the river of fire, the fleeing victims.
Oh, also, Ashley is looking for Feroz. She's like, where is he?
Looking very human, but dead. Survived fire just fine. Maybe Hades? I'd like to spend a point of vampirology to see how much I know about this dude, if that's possible. Because I still have mine.
Here's what you do know. This individual is the most powerful undead in the world today.
Dun,
They are
dun,
known
dun.
as the King of the Dead. They are. It is, in fact, most likely what was believed to be Hades. He has not reached his final form, and he is
All right,
in
Frieza.
fact a hollow. I have 6 more forms. Essentially, he is known as a hollow god at this point, a god in embryo, reaching a form of intense power. And whatever vampire you have faced up until this point, he's probably about 20 to 40 times more powerful, easily, if not beyond. However, in his current state, he is simply feeding and growing.
Would it be possible to stake him and keep him stable? Or would that be even harder than it would be for an Orpheus?
I'd say this. You most certainly could try. This will probably be the most difficult test you ever did. And there's a good chance that you lose your life in the process.
MOS.
I don't have an MOS. I have one in Filch, but I don't think that's going to be helpful. The dude's
I
naked.
steal his attention.
Filch is
Uh,
yes with the MOS.
I
Does
have no.
Ashley
ahead.
see Feroz? Like, because
You do.
she'll definitely try. If you try to attack it, she's gonna stop you or try to stop you.
I'm not sure if this is possible at all, but how close is Jess to Sai?
Good question.
Jess never really left the boat, so
Okay.
she's just been like throwing stuff from the boat.
Okay, so if that's the case, so and that's where I'm taking all these people to, is to that boat, right? To then ferry them across. Right. So when Sai finally brings the people to the boat, he turns to Jess and this is gonna be such a bullshit move. But I have 8 points in conceal. Can I conceal Jess's bombs and explosives to make it look like some sort of a meal or something that they take to this vampire, or something that would entice this vampire?
I already have a big idea,
Oh,
if you don't mind.
Yeah.
An idea that actually I got from the lovely Grant. I would like to use my MOS to attract to steal his attention, but here's what I'm going to do. I have a bandage around my hand that's covered in blood. I take the bandage off.
Oh,
I attach like a rock or something to it. I squeeze my hand to bleed in it further, and before he can notice, I toss it one way and sneak into the opposite direction, hugging the shadows as close as I can.
Do an infiltrate, and you're going to get a bonus of 3 to your roll for your expert maneuver. I will say this: he's the king of the dead, not a dog. He doesn't play fetch, but but it does get his attention when he's like, for Roseblood. Good
Well,
year.
+3 for my expert maneuver. My infiltration points left are 6. I'm willing to spend about, let's say, 4 of those for 7 points. And that's an 8.
You're escaping.
Run!
You did it. You are getting out in expert
Unbeknownst,
fashion.
right? But
Yeah.
at the same wait. So what was the plan to actually hurt him? I didn't catch
I
that.
don't think there is one. I think
Okay.
we're just going.
So-
He's. I'll say this: you can fight him and kill him.
No.
You will
So,
find him a dour enemy. He is killable though. It's just very difficult.
so that's what I'm
Y'all are
trying to
pretty
say.
beat
So in this scenario, like what I want to do is work with Jess and literally take every single explosive that she has on her, like every
It's a
single
lot.
one.
It's a fair amount.
Yes. And then
It has
and
Roll a
hammers.
D100.
and
Plus
use
30.
my conceal skill, because I have 8 points in that. I will literally use all 8 points to I don't know if this works this way, but I would like to conceal all of those explosives in such a way that it attracts later on. Like it could be now, it could be a little bit later after we leave this vampire, and set it with her in such a way that it will trigger when it approaches it.
So what you're saying is you want me to pile all this stuff onto the shoreline while you're running towards us so you can like conceal it.
Like basically make it look in such a way that this vampire would eventually approach it and have it blow up. Once again, this is just off the top of my head. I don't know how feasible this is.
I mean-
I will say this though: he is raising his hands out of the river, and you notice the flames are beginning to die down as he has power over fire. And black mist is forming again. It's almost as if he's using necromantic powers.
I
try
think we
to-
better go.
Yeah,
Run.
but if you're gonna do explosive things, there might be a good old-fashioned Jess special that kills these newborn vampires and collapses the gate to hell.
I mean, I'm definitely
Yes.
into it. Like I'll spend my explosive points to follow through on Sai's conceal plan if you want.
If nothing
I-
else, like conceal it around the cavern so that way it'll blow everything, this entire place sky high.
Do the gate. Specifically the gate.
Yes, gate, especially the gate.
Yeah.
All right, conceal check and the explosives check. I'm not
All right,
telling
I'm
you the
gonna-
difficulties on
I'm
either.
gonna spend 8
I'm
points.
using 8,
I'm
and I'm using 8
8
points.
Hey, 14.
Woo! All right, let me roll this, baby.
That is the best roll.
And then, oh god, come on! Okay,
Nine,
9
is
total
still
9.
good. 9 is
Nine
still
is
good.
9 is
good,
very
right?
good. It's one of those things where describe to me how you two look in tandem doing this. I imagine there's like
So
this
I think
dramatic fire and
yeah. Sai probably like yells over to Jess to like start, setting some stuff up, and she's just like, like getting the wicks ready on a bunch of things, like throwing them overboard and like just creating like various piles of explosives nearby to her that like Sai can do whatever they want with, but it's just like speed prepping bombs, like all kinds of
Probably not the
different
best
stuff that she has on her.
Probably not the best thing to do a speed run on, but we got it.
Yeah.
I love this. This is the dynamic duo. It's just like
Yeah. And so like Sai's like as Jess is making these bombs, grabbing them one by one and sticking it into like crevices around in the cavern where like nearby the gate and all. Like I'm assuming like Jess would know because of like your ability in terms of like structural things.
Yeah,
and-
I have architecture 3 as well. Yes.
yeah, so like based off of that, like you would tell Sai, like put it there. These are like
right
most
there, over
vulnerable-
there. All right.
Yeah,
Get that
vulnerable
pillar.
points.
Make sure you blow up the gate. Yeah.
So like Sai is just assisting in that form and using his conceal to kind of hide it so no one touches them, no one can remove them or move them, like find them, and that is what we're doing. And then have it in such a way that it will eventually explode as we ride our out of here.
all right. So, I'm curious what Ashley is doing.
Well, once Ashley realizes that like Feroz and everyone are getting out, she starts leaving.
Okay.
She genuinely like she was curious about the vampire,
Yeah.
but she's also like she just wants to make sure her friends and stuff get out
Mhm.
before she does. She wants to
He's-
make sure her friends don't die because Feroz got blocked behind a bunch of stuff. So now that she's seen him and knows he's okay, she's like, cool, I'm getting out.
All right. As you're getting out and you turn from him, you hear his voice speak to you as soon as you turn your back to him. And he just says, I'll see you in Greece. Do you look back to check him?
Yes.
He's gone.
Bastard.
And you escape. So the party...
I'll tell you that this time.
The party dramatically climbs up the slippery rocks and the sharp cliffside. You manage to take these poor trafficked victims and free them from their dire fate in the night below. Right about then, it's boom time. All the explosives go off dramatically. Rocks are falling. The gates to Pluto are destroyed and no more. Hades itself has been cut off from the world, and the vampire breeding ground, for lack of a better term, has been destroyed. As you exit the monastery, you see the guards that were there. Their weapons are drawn. You're beaten, you're broken, you're coming up. But you see them slump and fall over as Layla, Madeline, and a couple other of Feroz's contacts that have been placed in helping have knocked them out and have a Cessna airplane waiting for you to board and escape.
Yay!
Woo! We made it!
Did it!
As
Hallelujah.
as we're on the plane, Ashley's going to be like, he said he'll see us in Greece.
What? We didn't get him?
What do you mean see us in Greece? We buried his ass!
He was gone before the explosions went off.
God
Mother.
damn. Goddamn vampires.
Damn vampires. So let's move to a couple of vignettes as we're flying away and get some character vignettes because you have closed the portal to Hades. You have stopped the vampires from escaping. However, there are other issues here. So, the vampire conspiracy, now that you have closed this gate, they're going to come after you all. The way the game works is there's a pyramid, and depending on what you've hit on the pyramid is the swift retribution that the vampires will throw. So that's coming. However, it's a moment of peace and respite and reflection. So what I'd like to do is we go around, and I'd like each player to both say, one, what their character felt during the ordeal, how they feel afterwards, and which direction they think they should head next based on what evidence they have right now. And so the order that we will do this is we will do Jess, Feroz, Ashley, then Sai.
Okay. You just want like a plain vignette, Grant? Or
Yeah, it's how you felt during the operation, how you feel after.
Okay, all right.
And then what
I mean, Jess's
Path
whole
to
thing,
next.
I think Jess's inner monologue throughout like most of the event is that she's just like excited to finally be getting some shit done, you know?
Mhm.
She her like motivation is very thrill seeking. She's kind of there because it's exciting and dangerous and different, and like she's willing to like put herself in the line of fire for this kind of thing. More so than just like altruism or like some desire to make the world better. She just wants to like blow up vampires, you know? It's kind of cool. So obviously she's riding high after like setting an entire lake of vampires on fire and just like generally doing pretty well in the whole combat situation. And as they're leaving, it's that adrenaline rush of like, will we die or won't we? You know, that like comes fading down as as they're like boarding the plane to escape. I think she looks like a little fidgety and just like generally like a little high energy because she's at like her supplies are run out. You know what I mean? Usually she has something to be like working on or whatever, but like she used everything she had to like get that church blown up basically. So I don't know. She's got kind of like a nervous energy to her as the adrenaline wears off. And it doesn't look like she thinks they're safe yet. You know, like the plane could be taken down or, you know, like whatever could happen because like stuff happens that she doesn't understand. She doesn't have any vampirology or like a cult or anything. So, you know, magic shit happens and there's nothing she can do about it necessarily.
Goddamn magic shit. Only one way to handle it: blow it up or set it on fire. And for Rose,
There was a couple things running through his mind during the mission. And the first thing is to just how much trouble he's gotten everyone else into. I mean, he knew what he was getting into when he took this job. He knew what it would take. But he thought he had an understanding of how much it would be, how much danger the others were in, and as things have gotten worse, he realizes that either the SIS were a lot less prepared than they thought they were, or this being overwhelmed, that was on purpose. And neither sits right with him, especially considering he's grown to treat the people around him as friends. On the plane ride, as he is taking the yoke, because he is the one who knows how to fly a Cessna, his thoughts go to a different person. He remembers Layla saving him, and it's not the first time. And so his thoughts travel back to the person who he now realizes he may never see again. His 2-year-old infant daughter of the same name. And he clasps a ring around his neck that he keeps on a chain that has the date of her birth inscribed in it, and realizes that the last time he saw her, he promised that he'd be back within a week or two. And he's not going to see her again. And as that crushing realization comes to him, he shuts down. And there's just dead eyes staring out the front of the plane as he tries to make sure they get to the next destination.
and Ashley.
I mean, Ashley is definitely shooken up by this. Like, she's been bit by a vampire. She's never really been an in the field type. I mean, until she started doing all like these investigations. And so she's kind of like, oh, she's kind of realizing she might die. Maybe this could kill her, maybe, but she's a little bit at the same time bigger than that. She's like, this could kill my friends. Like, we're in real danger. This is a real problem we are in. And like, I'm lucky, like she's lucky that Daria got out and Daria is fine. But she's like, people are like, there is a real palpable threat here. And she's just kind of sitting there like thinking about that. But her way of dealing with that is like, she has her computers up and she is just trying to research and prep however she can. She's like, okay, we saw this guy, and she probably asks like around of who knows what his name was and stuff, and it's just like logging what they saw and just trying to put her energy into like fixing and solving, as opposed to like, she's trying not to let it get to her very much right now.
Oh, it's a lot. And sigh.
Honestly, I mean, a lot of things are going on. It's like the moment right before a star is about to go out, right? Like in his brain, like a lot of things are happening, and then they just collapse, and then new thoughts form, and then they collapse, and it's just like this moment where he's not really able to make much sense of the world. Like as a private eye, he's dealt with people claiming ghosts and claiming supernatural things, and he kind of understands them. But then he never really thought he would actually face something like this, at least to this scale, all of a sudden. And he kind of just at this point is trying to let his mind go blank so that he can just go to sleep. And then he just figures that everybody here just needs to get a good night's rest and just go to sleep. But before he does, I think he notices Jess fidgeting around with like not having anything to do, and so he takes out the gun that he got from those people, takes out the bullets from said gun, and like kind of cracks them open a little bit so that like the gunpowder comes out, and then kind of hands that to Jess. Kind of.
I feel like Jess is like, whoa, no, you shouldn't be doing this as a plane. Like...
Well, okay, maybe not cracking it, but like just kind of giving it to her, kind of to help her like fidget around with, and kind of have something on her mind, knowing
sure,
that.
Yeah, she seems a lot more at ease when she has like an idle activity. If you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think just because of like
even if it's just like checking your equipment over, sort of thing.
Yeah. I think just because of the amount of time they've spent together as a team, like as their own separate small team, he kind of starting to understand Jess, and like seeing her fidget like that. He knows that she, like, especially considering she used up all of her ammunition and all of her cash, like this would probably help her a little bit. And just like understanding this plane ride for us means probably the only relaxation we're gonna get, because as soon as we land, as soon as we land, shit's about to hit the fan. So.
And as the sun begins to set, there's a small crest clipping that comes across the blogosphere that Ashley and Feroz pick up on, that Yusef has returned back to his establishment. He was saved. The reconstruction of the monastery has been shut down. Daria and Layla managed to put a stop to that, what with the collapse of it. And the vampire conspiracy continues, and retribution will be swift and hard. But that'll be for another episode as we set the sun on this session, the second episode of Night's Black Agents, The Hungry Dead, here on Roll For It. So, Bentham, that's our show. We're gonna go into our outro.
All right. Let's start with the announcements for today. Once again, today's supporter was Thunder Cabbage. Thank you very much for supporting today's episode. You can also check out on our Patreon the GM notes for Mercurix and the Ghosts of Zeepol from Dungeons & Dragons Ascension. We are sponsored by Roll20. We use Roll20 for all the things. We use it today, of course. That's why you could see dice roll on the screen and all that kind of thing. You can check out giveaways and all that on the pinned post or the pinned tweet of our Twitter. And as we're now at the end of the episode, very soon in the next few minutes, the MP3 and the after show for our latest episode of Ascension will be coming out on the Patreon as well. Right, let's go around everyone, who they are and where you can find them. I'm gonna go random and all over the place here. We'll start with Werewolf Norden. Where can we find you?
My name is Norden Ali Kadir. My pronouns are he, him. You can call me Werewolf, and you can find me online at Werewolf Feels if you want to know about werewolves and their feelings. There's also a big thing happening this Monday where, if you've been catching up on Gehenna Academy over on Gehenna Gaming's channel, our finale is this Monday. Our Season 1 finale, as it turns out, has been renewed for a Season 2, date to be determined. But this is the end of this story, so if you want to gather over there Monday night, 7:30 Eastern Daylight Time, please do. As for everything else I do, I am literally overburdened with secrets, so I can't talk about any of them. But I can tell you this. When I can talk about them, you'll see them both on my Twitter at Werewolf Feels, and you can also find it on my card, Norden Ali Kadir .card.co, where you can find literally everything I have worked on that I can talk about and will work on that I can talk about. Here's hoping my secrets start revealing themselves soon.
All right, Blythe, what are you doing? Where can we find you?
Hi, everybody. I have been Blythe. You can find me across the interwebs, Twitter, Instagram, all that at BlytheCalla93. That's BLYTHEKALA 93. Currently, every other Monday, I am playing in a game over at Happy Jacks RPG. That's at 7 p.m. I play a weird little occult girl. I might have a type of character that I really like playing.
The best type.
And she's probably getting married to a fairy king at the end of it. So I recommend going to check that out and tuning in to see what happens there. Other than that, just follow me on Twitter, and that tends to be where I talk about what's going on in my life. Or I make really, really awful Loki jokes or Star Wars jokes. So go check it out.
Both great choices, really.
Absolutely. KP, what are you up to?
Well, hello everybody. I'm KP, also known as KP11 Studios. You can find me on Twitter, on Twitch, on all your social medias. I do a lot of photography, portraits, cosplay. If any of that interests you, check it out there. I talk a lot about TTRPG, about Indian culture, and how those can be merged and tied together, and how just culture in general from outside of your normal perspective can be merged together. So if that interests you, check me out on Twitter, where I mostly live. I actually have another game going on right after this for Jasper Day. It's going to be, I don't have the links yet for it, but it's going to be my very first time ever playing a vampire game, a Vampire the Masquerade game. So come check me out as I flounder about figuring out how to play that. So yeah, I also have a game tomorrow related to that where we're playing Cult. So that'll be my first time playing that as well. And then I'll have another couple games next weekend for Jasper's game day. So a lot of things going on there. Also, one of the big things I just announced or got announced for me is I'll be on the D3 at Sea crew as the official photographer for that event. So if you want to check out, if you want to be on a cruise ship playing with a bunch of celebrity DMs while I do your photo shoots for you, go check that out. Go check them out. And yeah, those tickets are going by very, very fast. So yeah, outside of that, that's it for me.
Right, and Elf, where can we find you?
Hi, I'm Distracted Elf. You can find me at twitch.tv/DistractedElf or on Twitter at DistractedElf. I do a bunch of stuff with Roll20 at the moment. We're running a D&D game on Mondays on D&D's channel at 1 p.m. PST. And then on my own channel, I run a Star Wars Edge of the Empire campaign on Fridays at 1 p.m. PST. And then on Thursdays at 1 p.m. PST, we do the GM prep for that. So it's like every week we do GM prep, then the game. You know what I mean? So it's a fun sort of procedural thing. That's it. And also, I apparently have a propensity for playing characters named in some form Jess and to have some form of explosives, because I've done that in 2 Roll For It shows in the same week, and I didn't realize. Yeah, I had another character that was a flamer user called Jesse. So, you know.
Kindred spirits.
And last but not least, our GM, Grant.
Oh, I'm just an old chunk of coal. You can find me on Twitter currently at WisePapaGrant. I've got a number of things going on. I think tomorrow I'm producing WebDMs into the Kickstarter celebration. We raised over $300,000 for an RPG book, which is amazing that we live in such a time when games are supported so well. I'm also producing a sponsored show on their channel, Fading Suns, which is a science fiction and space opera. If you like games like Vampire the Masquerade, it's actually designed by Bill Bridges, who designed the Vampire LARP as well as Vampire the Masquerade. He also does these really cool, like, passion play style RPGs that are full of philosophical statements, and they're a lot of fun. I like Bill. Good peoples. Yeah, I'm in and around the internet. You can follow me on Twitter and catch me here next week. I'm also on Monday. I'm going to be on Level Up Dice's Twitch channel playing Companion's Tale. But that's all for me.
All right, and with that, we're going to go off and record ourselves an after show that you can, of course, find in the coming days over on the Patreon. You will, of course, catch the show next week at the same time in the same place for episode 3. And the next time that you'll see Roll For It is tomorrow with our next episode of the last ditch, where we're going back to the commander cast. So, with all that said and done, may the dice roll ever in your favor.